It's up. Yeah, I think so. Who's in here?
I bet.
Okay. But me. Fuck. Well, that just ripped. Wait, can we touch rejoin? We can't. F list. What? I think it's 2 more wins, bro. Just 2 more wins, bro. What? Okay. I got your death streaks. Oh, your death streaks. I'm just an idiot, bro. I'm literally just an idiot. I was like, who's like, what is your IGN death streaks? And I realized it's your IGN. Party list. What the fuck? Why am I getting ewed? True. 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 Chat, I'll put my Twitch link in chat right now. Please. Don't. Dog stream. Thanks, Toasty. Let's get it. Surely not. Help, help. Put it together. Yeah, I think. Got third question mark. Ah. I got team next game question mark. I invited a random. Hold on. I might have to dodge. Bet. Okay, I'll play this game. Bet. I'll play this game and then I'll play with Ampharos after this game. Alright, rush another. Yo, what's up, team?
Hello.
I'm rushing another. Oh, let me get this. I'm gonna
Go, someone get books. Someone get books.
Yeah, yeah. Someone get broke room. I'm gonna get the iron. Hopefully, I can get. Never mind. There's no iron. Okay, what in the actual horrible cave or horrible thing? Okay. What the? Yo, Das, sure, dude. What's up? Thanks for follow. Appreciate it.
Oh my god, wait, is this a Twitch streamer?
No, I forgot to mute. Sorry, my fault.
Well, you're streaming, what's it, Twitch?
Maybe. Twitch.tv. Yo, right, guys. Thanks for follow. OGQNDRES. My name, put the OG at the front of it.
Oh, okay.
Need to go nether, need to go nether. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. If you go for enchants, yeah, we win. Oi, that's not what I needed to do. Oh, neither that. I got 1 stick. Fuck. Okay. We gotta rush another ASAP, guys. Teammates.
Yeah, let's rush.
Did you ever crash my first Midas game? Bruh. I only got it at one game with Sharp 10 Midas.
Oh, shit. Big.
Wait, big cave, big cave, big cave, big cave, big cave. Iron. Okay, water right there. Cool. This is a huge cave, bro. Holy shit. Make this for the iron bucket. Bam. I need to do this. Nah, boost for. No. Shut up. No. Boost for. We are scamming. We are fort bet get or we're scamming. Boost. We're scamming. Okay. 15. Yep, we upped it by 15. Also boost for. And it check. It's also boost for. Can tell it's a boost for. Now I'm unfollowing. Booster, shut. Booster, you know you're recording? Wait, message Ant. Wait, Booster, you want to play with me and Ant? After this game? Booster, answer me. Booster, answer me. I've been recording Q for an hour. Wait, I've been recording. Wait, what? It's not awake? There's a fucking head here. Our teammate died. Okay. Yo, L2 Czar, what's up? Yo, what's up, L2? What is up? I'm on HOPLITE. We're gonna get this win. Wait, just so I ask them if they're ready. You can play with me and Ants. Me a third. If our teammate gets, if Zeus could just get some wort, you get wort. I'm not you've been pretty good. Almost done with this challenge. I'm completing. Fuck. Oh my god, I'm taking crazy damage. Oh, something's fire. Boost for. Booster, I heard, by the way. I don't want to say it, but I heard. Good shit. W, the person, you know? Fuck. Okay. Ryga knows the katana rush. She does it with me. Wait, really? Okay, bet. You can just win this game, please. Norma, who the? Wait, what? Who is that? Who is that? Who's Normo? Normo 2 and number 3, bro? No. Okay. Yo. Right guy, look, right guy, you're doing it wrong. You gotta extract this. Watch. Watch. I'll find 2 times before you. Watch. I hear them. They're making noise to me.
I'm hoping, bro.
Wait for it. Am I gonna be happy when it's over? Yes, 100%. I'm gonna go outside. Take a shower and just go out somewhere. I don't know where. Probably just go take my mom to lunch or something.
Hey, bro. 3 to the left, 2 to the right.
Wait, 3 to the left? 2 to the right. Didn't work. Oh, it's because he went. It's supposed to be 7 straight. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 1, 2. Wait, no. It's supposed to be here. If my calculations are correct, it should be right here. Wait a second. I have a crazy. What haste do I get with miner? Chat, I don't know what. Wait. Okay. Wait. Pegman, say it again. Pegman said. Wait. Pegman said. Hold on. 3 down, 4 to the straight. Bet 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Wait a second. 2 to the left. Oh, didn't work. Chat, what'd I do? Haste 2. You get haste 2? Wait. How many smelter spins can I make? Misinput. Yeah, your calculator's wrong, man. Hold on. I actually might be cooking a shot right now. You can make 4? Wait. That's just efficiency 4, I believe. Can I not Giga Drill with efficiency 4? With haste 2? Can you wait, how do you break this faster? Can you break this with haste 2? Jack, can you Giga Drill come on. Give me some diamonds. Come on. Wait. Damn it. You need efficiency 5. Oh, fuck. Yo, N9250, what's up? Bro, just look below the lava. Oh, you're right. Nothing, bro. You lied to me. Also, you can't, you're not allowed to lava glitch, by the way. So I can just do this. Come on. Surely find diamonds, right? Okay, well, didn't work. Yeah, it's bannable. Looking through the lava is bannable. I've heard some people have been using free cam, bruh, for looking for caves, bruh. Free cam is indeed bannable, chat. Don't use it. I have enchants bet. Oh, nice, you have diamonds. Oh, I thought, see, diamonds. 2 diamonds, I can make sword. Okay, bet. You still need 2, bet. Okay, shot 3 rush. Bro, so close to ending? Yeah, I am. Every win that gets added now, it's just 1 hour to the subathon from now on. I'm pretty much capping it, but we're not, I mean, we're capping it, but not capping it. Yeah, because dude, I want to go outside, bro. Wait, can I have twatter? Wait, what? What do you mean twatter? Do I got a Twitter? Can I have your diamond boots for your boots? Wait, for YouTube video? But it's for video. Please, please, please. Yes, give me a yes, teammates. Goats teammate. Thank you. Okay, Zeus. Okay, I am not down at Sorcius, bro. I was just asking, why am I a scammer? Yo. All right. The bro wanted water. Okay, the guy can go find water. Make e-table. We will. Haha. Haha. Let's go. This guy. Shh. I just scammed this guy 4 diamonds. That's crazy. Other guy. What the fuck? Yeah, I kind of scammed this. I mean, not scam this guy. I gave this guy nothing in return for 4 diamonds. There was this cave. Can I get some diamonds here though? Teammate. Oh, you blocked my water up, bro. Wasn't me. Did I block my own water up? Make nether portal. How about no? All right. I don't know why, but I'm just sensing diamonds like right here somewhere. I know. What's up, Grace? Bro, what happened? Fiend. What, Grace? What? Fire emote, right, Grace? Fire emote. Well, it's funny. I know. I'm playing with my friend after this stream. I'm gonna go outside and then just touch air, touch grass, and then have fun. Okay. Isn't it the old map, not the new map? Same thing. Oh, is it literally this like old map we used to play on? Oh my god. Old buildings and everything. Okay, I probably should make... Okay. Yo, this guy really... Dude, this guy stalked me because I got his diamonds. Old loot, really? Damn, it's really... Bro. Fuck. Okay, maybe this guy is actually mad that I got his diamonds from him. I'm probably gonna be playing like, I don't know. My friends just asked me if I wanted to play tonight. I was like, bet. Just gotta get this win, this 2 wins, this last 2 wins on here, and then I can dip. I'm gonna have so much fun. My stomach. Yes, teammate, mind that gold. Wait, vote me. We don't want what happened last game. Vote me, just vote me. Vote me. Last game, some random guy got on a team. What, bro? Wait, click on me. Here we go, yeah. Diamond sword. Okay. So far, bro, I feel like it was 2018 again. Oh, no. Not 2018. What happened what happened there in that session, huh? Bro, okay. Our team might die. Dude, our teammate is not letting me live, bro. I think he's actually genuinely mad that I got his diamonds. Hey, bro. Bro really wanted the damn gold, I guess. Dragon. Oh. Same map, different age. True. All right, we're meeting up. I'm literally a porter, bro. Fuck. I have no lapis. Let me get that right now. Okay. Bro, why is this guy... Why is he following me, dude? Bye. No comp, dude. Toasty's... I hate Toasty. Bro, why is he mining right below me, bro? Oh, wait, this guy's real, dude. I don't understand, like... I don't know. Right guy, W, please just drop the enchant. Thank you, right guy. This guy's killing me out here, bro. I got books, by the way. Oh, I got books, by the way.
Yeah, I got a couple too. Can you make anvil?
Yeah, I can.
Do you need any glass?
No. Yes. No. Yes, I do. Dude, I swear to God, if our team of mines this time, what's it called? Enchant table, I'm gonna go crazy. Thanks. Please don't mind it, dude. Please.
Yeah, I need to
He has pickaxe out. Yeah, I got you. Come here.
Yeah, I'm right in front of me.
Here.
Yeah, thank you.
We can G-head and a gap. I have a crazy feeling our teammate's gonna like block drive me or something. Because I got his diamonds.
Yeah, I was using that, yeah.
Yeah.
These
I knew
guys
it.
are weird, man.
Yo! Pro wants the instant table, bro. I knew it.
Yeah, grow the fuck up, whoever that is.
Yo, can anyone get a sharp hook from this?
Here.
You get a sharp 3 if you get it.
Anyone have a flint?
Yeah, take this.
Dude, I need that string cut.
Sharpened here. Let's get over here.
I need string cut flint.
Sharpen's over here.
I'm getting the bow. That's my cobweb.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, here.
Thanks, bro.
Let's just go, bro. This is serious.
Yeah, can we lava this guy? Like, low-key?
No, we can't.
Oh, you're
Sadly.
streaming, man. Why?
Report him? No. Dude, it's an NPC, bro. Like, I mean, not NPC. I mean, it's like a very friendly player, but like, you know. Yo, what is that? Knocking my door, bro. Oh, there's a whole team right here. Oh, what the fuck? Guys, we can be friends. Guys? You're not gonna become friends?
I have no healing. I can make lights though. Oh,
Okay,
shit.
okay.
Drop one after.
Oh.
Toby 20.
13.
Are those dogs ours?
Nope.
Oh boy. There's way
Oh my god, these dogs are gonna be so fucking annoying. Please.
So you check your numbers here.
Try not to let
He's
him.
on like 14.
Alright.
Oh my god. These got, dude. Kill the dogs when you see them, yeah.
I'm not, so that I can actually catch up.
Oh, it was like right behind us. Please kill our teammate. Yes, kill our teammate. My might be perishing here soon. Oh my god. People are not reviving that guy. Oh, we're running back to my team. Your team members are dropping, by the way. Maybe churn for your team? I don't know. We're gonna run for a long period of time here. Oh, they actually left me. Okay. Get a lava bucket. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That was very bad. It's fine. I'll clutch up. I'll clutch up. Right, guy? Come on. Gotta fight this guy here. They got 20 wolves. I have an idea. They're chasing this guy. We run back. Wait, right guy, just run forever. Hope they chase me. Right guy, I'm entering the portal. Oh my god, wait, I just said that out loud.
Yeah, Qndres is just here. He's gonna go through ball, but his teammate isn't gonna make it, so it's fine.
Oh my god, yes. Die. All the deals. Yes. Please, all these dogs need to die. Oh my god, yes. Come on. Peace out, Grey Bro. Bro. You think they come? You think you come through? Let me kill these dogs first. These dogs are so annoying, bro. Wait, I can't go back in. I need gravel. Fuck. Come on. I just relocate. I'll try to find someone right now. It's still winnable. It's still winnable, boys. It's still winnable. I got this. Wait, fuck, do we have poison? Do we have pots? Might have pot shit, didn't we? Oh, that guy is actually cringe, bro. I need to fight Toasty. No war. Toasty, you're not 0-0. I see Toasty. That's not Toasty. Fuck. I need to get like a full iron. Toasty, fight me right now. Fight me. Oh, he's coming down. Okay, he's an MLG. Oh, wait. Oh. Oh, well, bro did not land that MLG. Wait, did I get the kill? Wait, I hit him mid-air. Wait, what? Did I hit him mid-air? Wait, what? I think I timed that really well and it like... Wow. Wait, so I did hit you midair, right? Yo, lock in, lock in, lock in. I got this, I got this. It's like people with like armor and shit. Wait, I didn't get the gold nuggets. What? Yeah, I saw that. You like, oh, right here. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I don't need teammates. Just kidding, I do. I just need a redstone, I believe. I have 4 heads. I can respawn. We can respawn all teammates. A redstone right there. All right, boom. Okay. Land on me, by the way, and then we can respawn our teammates. Hold on. That. Fuck. Okay, we can respawn 1 though. Oh, we need another diamond. Fuck. No, we can't revive it. Never mind. We need more diamonds. They're sniping? Wait, who is? No way. Are they actually? Oh, I see them. Oh no, not the new, not the new players. They're just talking about your stream. No way. Yo, you guys aren't stream sniping, are you guys?
No, 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 no.
Are you sure?
100%.
So say 300%, I believe you. Because you know,
100%.
you know that's kind of weird if you're stream sniping, you know.
Ooh, that hurts.
Kill you.
Oh. Can you tell me their age? Their age. Can you tell me their health? Ow. Kill him here. Went in the front back. Fuck, he's 8 ahead. 13 healing. Oh fuck.
My god, his movement, God.
Oh my god, his movement though.
Go back, go back. Don't chase him, don't chase him. Go back.
Are you sure?
Okay, okay. Or maybe it's just okay.
What are they on? What are they on? What's their health again? Just say it. I have an idea, and it might not work, but it could work. Okay. Dude. If this shit were, I mean, dude. Oh no, I gotta go to the portal. Dude, I gotta go to. Oh my. No. Fuck.
He's almost at the wheel butter. Come on. Hello. Oh! There's him. Hello. Oh,
I got one. It's all cares. Wait, are they stream sniping? No way. Wait, what they say, Zeus? Oh my god. I killed one though. No way, dude. Let me ask let me see if I think Ampharos wanted to play. Let me see. But GG's. Ant Frost. Yo. Ready, question mark? Let me see what Ant says. Is Ant streaming? He's not. No, he is. He is? Okay. Tell him I'll wait for it. He's streaming. All right. Thanks for streaming, Zeus. I'm gonna go team with this noob and Frost noob. Let me see this. I need to see Ant play. I want to see Ant play.
That'll be 1945. Oh, I'm just paying for my own salad.
Yo, where's that lava placing, by the way? Oh, fuck me, I'm done.
Okay, Ant. Okay, Ant. Okay, the MO2 goes crazy. Gapping. Oh, he's on 10? You know the gap just to be safe? Oh. No, walk up. Oh, nice. No! Oh, he's on 22. What the fuck?
The
Dude.
fucking lava. Why is the lava placing the fucking flower?
Dude.
Okay. If I had same armor as them, I think I win. Message Qndres, yes.
Okay. W. Hi, hello. Okay. Yay. Yay. Party invite Ant Frost. That's not Ant Frost. Party invite Ant Frost. Invite me to party. What's up, Pim? What's up, Brandon? Hello. Welcome, guys. Thanks for follow, Pim. Appreciate you. Calling at mobile. Dude,
Yeah.
you actually almost killed him. I was watching that whole thing.
I know, bro.
Oh my god. How are people rushing that sword? I still don't understand. Like, it's crazy how they rush it. Oh, really?
Well, I mean, if you can get that guy had full diamond. If he had full diamond, he probably had diamond pickaxe. He probably just got a fucking went to the nether and got a thing himself.
Yeah. Yeah, someone in my
Either
chat
that, or
was
maybe they
saying...
got lucky and killed somebody with it. I don't know.
Oh, that too, yeah. Someone in my chat was telling me that you can combine your smelter's pickaxes and stuff. So...
Can you?
Yeah, you can with anvil. So you just go nether and you just get like look for ancient debris with your iron pickaxe because you can insta-mine it. And then, well, you just gotta hope you find 3 diamonds. That's basically.
Does smelter pickaxe work? Can you actually mine up
debris? No. But it's just it's like a faster way to just find it, you know, like efficiency 4, haste 2.
I guess we still need diamond pickaxe at that point now.
Yeah, like 3 diamonds plus 2 for the sword.
Yeah. I mean, that's not bad. I think just getting it from a bastion or a fortress is probably better anyway.
Yeah,
Some people
you're
like
right.
rush that immediately now. That like I don't know.
It's fine.
All
Oh
good.
my gosh, dude. I'm almost done with this damn challenge, man.
How many wins do you need?
2 more, that's it.
2 more.
Yeah.
We could get 2 wins.
Yeah, it's easy.
I'll probably have to leave in like a little over an hour though, so I don't know how much time I actually
Okay.
have to play, but we'll see.
It's all good, it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, Glios, this can't be true. What?
You know the iPad event?
What happened?
Stu just stayed up through the night because his schedule was fucked, and he set an alarm for like 1 or 2
Uh-huh.
to wake up and play it, but he's not even playing till tomorrow, and he like had the wrong time.
Bruh.
He also set an alarm to play for an Among Us lobby, but he also like
Fell asleep during it?
it was at 11, and I don't know what time he thought it was, but he was up at like 2 to play it.
Oh.
So he was just like off completely. I don't know.
Bro just forgot. Bro,
I
yeah.
guess.
He's been sick too, right?
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't sound like too bad though. Like, if he got like minor case or whatever, Bella and I had. So unless he's just like powering through, I don't know. He could just be powering through. Who knows?
Did your whole group get sick?
Yeah. Most
Damn.
people I know that I interacted with got sick and had COVID.
But it's just like the convention flu, right?
Well, there was a convention flu and there was COVID. Me and
Bruh.
Velvet and Stu got COVID, and I just one people got COVID, but other people got the convention flu. I don't know what's wrong. The convention flu was bad though.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
heard it
not
was like
sure.
worse than COVID. Like they were actually like, dying.
Yeah,
dude.
honestly. So I'm sort of happy that like I didn't get the convention flu. I just got COVID instead.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, where was the convention big or was it like it was mid? Like so like
Yeah, no, it was pretty big. It was fun. It was good. I think I just don't want to go to Vegas again.
Okay.
Recently. But it was good.
oh ice. Okay.
Mid.
I'm trying to look for that thing.
I'm looking for one of those structures. What is this mountain, bro? Holy shit, it's massive.
It's huge. What the?
I
Maybe iron
don't
on
see
top?
anything.
Oh, I see a
I see a village. I see a village.
Yeah.
I'm going to the village, I guess. I have the what's it called? I have the looter
Okay.
class. Shane has told me on the fucking one looter fucking you get the glow squidding. Told me on that.
Oh, I found book room. What the hell?
Oh, you're here already. That's you. What the fuck? Okay, yeah, you don't that shit.
All the books.
We are not getting potions. Ain't no way. I'm not gonna hold on my spider eye.
No. Yesterday, I was playing my last game. Dude, I got comboed by fire, Breathman. Like, yeah,
Comboed you? Oh,
yeah,
no.
it was bad. It was bad. I got it, dude. Oh my.
It's unlucky, bro.
Katana's crazy. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it is.
No, then I died at Feinberg
They
with the
need to nerf
katana.
the katana. They need to nerf the katana and the
Yeah.
nether, but katana first.
Pot as well. Like, just everything in Nether needs to get nerfed.
I agree.
Is it like first one in Nether just wins? No. Basically.
Yeah.
There's
Bro,
iron.
give me that. Give. Yo, our teammate just took the iron from me. I don't
Bruh.
care. I'll beat the shit out of him if he needs help later. Don't care.
Yeah, it's free head for us.
Bro sees me setting up an iron golem, was starting to sweep me down, and then just like took the iron.
Yeah, last game, one of our teammates had like some diamonds. It's like, hey, dude, like toss me the diamonds, I'll use them. He tossed me the diamonds and just does not stop stalking me the whole game. Like, bro, thought we're like buddies now.
Bruh.
After that, see, might be able to go Nether soon. Seen one water bucket.
Okay, I'm right now getting my mining shit. Do
Okay.
you want me to come with you? Honestly, I feel like I should.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to loot bastions though. So bastion, I will be abandoning you. Actually, no,
fine.
I won't come look for chests, but I'm not
Just
very good
open
at
our
looting.
chest.
Yeah. Is it you? Is it you in like the underground over here?
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
are
yeah.
you?
I'm right here.
Bro, I don't even know how to get down to you. What the fuck?
Don't mind straight down. There's a mine shaft. There's a big cave. You don't want to mine there.
How the fuck did you get into her?
Got Riptide book and 1 diamond. Okay.
Tied?
Ah,
I mean,
stopped
honestly,
using chests,
tridents
fuck.
aren't even like it's sort of chill.
Yeah, I saw that fruit video of him just Riptiding with
I've
the
seen people
trident.
I've seen people doing that. Honestly, I think it's pretty good. I can't lie.
It looks fun.
For catching people, I think it's pretty. At the very least, it looks like fun as fuck to do. So like,
I'm not gonna lie. I wish
trying
I
to
had
come
an
down to you.
elytras. Elytras would be pretty fun.
oh my god, Elytras would be fucking insane. Maybe the one way to like fucking get away from a dragon katana user.
True. Wait, actually, you're cooking right now because they can't really like TP on you because you're gonna be flying.
Yeah, and you're just faster. Is there no iron in here? Hello, I just need like 3 for my pickaxe, bro.
Probably
Oh,
not.
there's
I
iron right here. Hold
couldn't
on.
find
Keep going.
some for myself. Oh my god.
Is
Okay.
there only 2? What the fuck? I need my pickaxe, Andres.
Think there's. I'm making portal by the way. Let me see if there's any. Yeah, there's iron here, like right next to me.
Bro, I've seen.
Right here, look. Come if you want to dig straight down
Oh,
there.
this isn't you, bro. This
No.
is a random ass teammate taking shit from me, bro.
Listen,
Bro, our
listen.
teammates are fucking griefers. Hold on, I'll come back to you in a second. I found iron.
Okay. It's
I thought it
fortress,
was
bro.
you. Is it a fortress? Oh my.
Yeah,
God.
I see it.
Okay, I'm gonna come in a second. Did you give the cords?
Yeah, put it in chat. The
On my way,
portal-
King. It's
See.
480 negative 580. Wait, 480. What?
What to the portal or?
Is it the portal cords or another
No,
cords?
no, these are portal cords.
560. No, I thought I was coming down to you, but you were. This is a different random ass teammate. Okay, this isn't you. I'm not gonna be able to get the nether with you, bro. I don't think.
It's all
It's
good.
not in time for it to do anything meaningful.
They spawned like hella far away from the thing.
Good luck trying to get the stuff, bro. I'm gonna start mining, bros.
Go for it. Go for it.
I'll do my best.
I think we got this as us too. I done a solo by myself and
Yeah.
won earlier today.
No, I think people are like, I don't know. It's not. This isn't like a sweat lobby. Like Photo's already in a game, and he's the only other like really sweet person of my friends that I was on.
Okay. Yeah, people are mad toxic in here too. Like, I just encountered my first toxic person today. Yeah.
I haven't encountered people toxic in the VC or anything like that.
Really?
Yeah, everybody's been pretty generally nice. I know they moderate it a lot though, so like.
Yeah, they instantly muted
you're
him,
like,
so.
Yeah, so if you get like if you're super toxic or mean or anything, you just get like fucking muted immediately. Okay, I'm just gonna run along, I guess, and look for a new cave because our teammates are like destroying these caves right now.
Yeah. I'm in the fortress now, but I'm looking for the room that matters the most.
Yeah, see if they got pots or not, because if they got pots, bro, it's fucking over. It's brown. Call it here.
Unless we somehow get a Reaper Scythe, but I mean.
Let's get a Reaper Scythe, or we can fucking like find them while they're brewing and yoink that shit.
Which I mean, I wouldn't be too opposed making a Reaper Scythe. With 2 heads, I can probably trade for Crying Obby.
Yeah, I guess bro, every single cave I try to go to, our teammates are in it. Like, why are we all? Actually, we need bucks, huh? If we're gonna get enchants. I'm gonna go run along the
I have books. I have 15 books. 15 books.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You're right. You get books. Shit. Okay, well, going to
Yeah,
cave.
everyone's in it, by the way. I might start trading for Crying Obby because, I mean.
Yeah. Just
Dude,
start trading for it, bro.
Yeah.
What is it? Crying Obby, Amethyst Shard, and
Amethyst
2
shards,
heads?
2 heads, yep.
Alright, I'm gonna start looking for Amethyst, and maybe one of our teammates will find one. Cody's online, that'd be a good third. But we're in a game, unlucky. It's the same cave that, oh my god, we're all in the same cave, bro. I'm gonna lose it. Whatever.
Honestly, just resurface.
No, but I've been resurfacing, and like every time I find a
fuck.
cave, our teammates are here. I found a mine shaft though, it's all good.
Okay.
I got stuff for bows and for myself cobwebs.
Oh, what is this? Is this? Wait, I think I found a whole new war room, by the way. A whole new fortress. I think.
Shit! Hey, maybe you get another one. Maybe possibly.
I think. Wait. Oh no, I did. It's the same one. Fuck. They got the work.
Okay. I'm disguised, so I think we're gonna have to vote you up for what's it called? Because they're not gonna vote my ass up.
Bro goods. W name.
Yoink. Sitting on 3 gunpowder right now.
Ooh, okay.
Oh my god, I got a shit ton of gunpowder. Holy shit. And like everything.
Hi, Tasty. You have to play Fortnite with Tapple mods. Wait, why?
I got enough string for us. I have 10 gunpowder.
Okay.
We can get Artemis bow too if we get lucky with things.
I'm looking for. Dude, I can't find any piglin. Wait.
We need amethyst like immediately. Okay, we can both have an Artemis bow, bro. Honestly, I would be so happy with that.
Oh wait, how do you make it again? Just clock.
Oh no, you don't need TNT for Artemis. What am I saying? We can use this TNT for something else.
Wait, if we're gonna make Artemis, I'm just gonna come back then. Just rush with Artemis.
Well, no, we need
fire charge. No.
We still need the diamonds for it, bro. So
I have 1 diamond.
Look, we have TNT. We need 2 TNT. I can make 2 TNT.
Okay.
Yeah,
So should I
we
just
need
come
more
back then?
diamonds then? I mean, if we can both get an Artemis for that, that's maybe not bad, but like, we need diamonds. If you want to come mine for diamonds, sure.
Bet. Got you. I just gotta go back to where my portal's at. It's over there. Wait, what are your coordinates right now? Is it?
I'm at 600, negative 600.
Okay, so I gotta go this way.
A lot of our teammates are in this cave here. Oh my god, the gravel pit.
Right? Now, where did I go from? This way.
Trying to find a way out of this mine shaft and into a cave. Our teammates have just like looted everything. It must be a research moment that we run away and go mine somewhere else. I don't know. I doubt we're gonna see diamonds here.
In my cave, there was like that one guy that was just, I don't know. I don't even know what he was doing. I'll go back to it though. If I can find my portal back.
Yeah, that shit's all mined out. I gotta get the hell out of here. I'm gonna see if I can get a little flint real quick though for it.
929.
For arrows.
What? 5938. Oh, it's down here. Found it. Hi, Jocelyn. Hi. Hello. Also, Tasty. Actually, low-key, I might be down to play some Fortnite, maybe. Okay, I'm back in Overworld, but yeah, I see what you mean, by the way, with everyone mining next to each other.
Yeah, literally everybody's mining next to each other, bro. I gotta get the fuck out of here. Out of this cave I go. I'm going straight up.
Okay. I'm gonna mine like
Oh no.
two max. What happened?
There's a city, ancient city.
Wait, is it looted or?
I mean, somebody just died to the warden, so I'm gonna assume it's looted, which means somebody's gonna have that cringe ass crossbow, bro. Yeah,
Wait,
two people just died. Two people just died to it from the same team. Maybe. Well, I don't know where they're looting it, so it doesn't really matter, does it? I guess.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, no, don't do it. I would say it would be worth it for the lich staff because that thing is nuts. But
The lich staff, you get soak touch there too.
yeah, you can get soak touch from books, enchanted books.
Lich staff is nuts. Yeah, I was using that yesterday. That thing is nuts. You're right.
And you can like boost yourself toward people as well. It's crazy.
You can boost yourself towards them. The freezing is OP. Like you get a massive. You get like 5 charges before it goes on cooldown. Like it is sort of crazy.
Surely no one's gone down here. Come on, please.
I'm gonna run towards you. We don't have to mine exactly together, but I want to be like, close to you for mining.
Okay. Okay. Well, this cave sucked. Okay.
This is the cave that you're in, I think.
Might be. Well, this cave just does not give me anything.
Okay.
Could ask our teammates for diamonds.
3 of them died to the warden. What the fuck, bro?
Yeah, just jumping
I
around
see
that.
you.
You see me? I'll come back up because this
Yeah.
cave just sucked.
Does it?
Yeah, just so
My
bad.
teammates are up here. Getting chickens for feathers.
I would want to have that Artemis, bro. That Artemis goes crazy.
Artemis does go crazy.
What do I do with this corpse just standing here? Oh, I see a pumpkin. Definitely looted.
I think we just go loot. Like, I'm down to just keep mining, honestly, even after like PvP.
PvP a little bit, yeah.
I don't know.
Can I find
like,
diamonds
feel
for
like we
Artemis?
sort of- Yeah, we need amethyst too, though.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we could just stay up and say fucking fight, I guess, but like, a little scary.
Yo, Cough. Thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Hello. Hi. Wait. Okay. I'm not sure if that was a song, but I heard something die next to me. Hope that wasn't the warden.
Here's something died. No way that people are killing the warden. There's no way.
No, it takes a lot of damage, doesn't it?
The warden is like, yeah, the warden is like insanely hard to kill. I see a cave. I'm going down. Or is this a cave? What is this? Bro, what is... Really nothing here. I hear Warden. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I hear it too. I'm running toward it.
You do? I mean, maybe is it there? 3 people died, but like I feel like if 3 people died there, it's probably all been like picked clean. But maybe they're bad at looting it. I don't know.
I got diamonds and I'm dipping. I got 3 diamonds.
Holy shit. Okay, nice. I mean, that's enough for 1 Artemis.
I have 4 diamonds total.
Yo, let's do Artemises for us if we can get amethyst. We need amethyst like now.
Okay, I will try to find it somehow. Holy shit.
That's massive. You
I
get that
kind
from
of
the
want to keep
Warden
looting.
area?
Ivan?
I mean, go for it. Go for it. If you want to keep looting that place and it's not looted, go for it, bro.
Fuck, okay. Let me lock
I'm
in.
not
Hold
gonna
on.
stop you.
Fuck, okay.
You ever loot it safely?
Yeah, I sort of. I
Vote
know how to like...
offense. Vote offense. Vote offense. Oh my god, our
Vote.
team's voting for
Okay.
offense.
Vote offense for video. That's what you always say. And that always works. Yo,
Vote offense for video is crazy, bro.
please vote.
Oh my god, we have new teammates. We have new teammates, bro.
And they're all voting for Burger 207. Like, what?
Doesn't matter, GG. We lose. Piss random guy voting for farmer gets it instead of us. That is insane. I found diamonds.
Okay, cool. I'm doing this ancient city really, really carefully, by the way.
Okay, we can get enchants.
Okay. Holy shit, this is scary, but I can probably find the heads that teammates. I mean, that the guys I had to. No, my god, I'm scared.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, that area down there is terrifying. Fucking. Oh, I thought you knew this. I thought you knew this. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh wait, nice.
Woo! Okay, let's get our bows and fucking and just like enchant our armor up and let's go get kills.
Okay, I'm coming at you. I'm just gonna get out of this
Or...
ancient city somehow.
Okay. I'm gonna start leaving.
Okay. Oh my god, I just saw the warden straight in the eyes and just kept running. Like it's there's one that just spawned next to me and I was like, oh hell no.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you like to loot them. You can just run through, and if you're like a fast looter,
Yeah.
they can't really get through the own city very easily, so you can just sort of like zoom by them.
I'm out already.
4 red chasing me. I don't know. Are you above ground?
No, I'm still underground. I'm coming though. I'm just mining iron because I just forgot to get iron.
I'm going up right now. It's a little scary, but fuck it.
Doozum, yeah, you can come play with us. Yeah, Doozum,
Oh my
we
God,
need you.
Doozum, yeah, of course, buddy.
Yes.
Well, of
Please,
course.
Doozum, please.
Come carry us, Doozum. We wouldn't say no to that.
Yesterday, I was in a game with Doozum. This guy just like, okay, well, first of all, there's another team that just wins, right? Because they just have like everything in the game, and somehow I don't know how Doozum pulls it off, but this guy just wins the game. I don't know.
I'm telling you, he's like a fucking, I don't know, he's crazy. Where was
Doozum, you should probably sign up for Minecraft Esports.
read honestly? I need sand, bro. I see our teammates, but I don't care for them. Seven kids over there. Okay, well then why the fuck are you running to me, bro?
Oh, I see
away.
the king. I see the king. Definitely don't go to the king, right?
Yeah, don't. I think they're on. I think they're on him. I'm 200 blocks away from you, Anders. I'm trying to come to you.
Okay. I'm coming up surface right now. I'm on like Y35.
Can you make TNT with red sand or no?
Yes. I'm pretty sure you can.
You want? Say no more.
Pickaxe broke.
Ah, Dragon Katana. Who's surprised?
Oh, well, look at that. They're on 40, okay.
Oh, I see somebody on our teammate. Should I jump in here?
Up to you. I'm still Y64. I'm trying to come up fast, but this is not working out for my... Okay, I'm coming to you. Bro goods, 176 meters. Okay.
He's on 3. He's on 3 in front of me.
I think I might cut him off.
Yeah, you see? Okay. Got him.
Nice.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Fucking diamond
I see
sword
you, see
surface
you.
on me. 2
Keep
more.
it. Nice water.
Qndres it on my whip out.
Yeah, just get
They're
out.
on you. They're on you. They're on you. They're on you.
Yeah. I know. I can just get out, and then I can get out.
I got it. I didn't grab his head or anything, but I can
Yeah,
make. I can try and make the Artemis moves real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, make the Artemis bow.
Fuck.
Oh, that's another guy. Our teammate. No way some random guy on our team got king, by the way.
I have Artemis right now.
Okay.
Can you try and get to me somehow?
Yep, I'm here. I'm like 50 block stream probably.
Yeah, come here. Oh, they're on you. They're on you, bro.
Yep.
Hold on, I'm gonna get you a little more candy and. That's 3 of them, bro.
Yeah, can you bow him off? Hopefully it curves. You have TNT? I can make it right away. You have TNT or TNT and amethyst.
Here.
Everything I need. Fuck, I don't know what else I need.
You need the bow, probably.
Fuck, hold on. Fuck.
I have a
almost-
bow, but they're honest, bro.
Okay, I can split it from you. You want to split up and then I can make it?
Yeah.
We made up each other.
I already got a bow. I mean, we're running the same way.
Fuck. It's fine, I can go left here. They're going for me.
They're on you.
I'm running into another team though.
Yeah.
Ow.
One more across the river from you. Here, comes. Are they on you still?
No, I think they left. Oh, still. What the fuck? They're still on me.
Come here. I'm dropping the bow right here.
Okay. You got it. And that was just
In front
arrows.
of me. Dragon Katana. Hello.
Okay, I just need to make arrows. I can make them. I just need to drop the lint.
Come this way. Bro, I think we just keep running into the Dragon Katana guy, or there's a team of 2 right here. I think.
Okay, I'm coming. I'm a little behind you, by the way.
Okay. I mean, they're on you still. They both have dragons. They both have dragons. The other team's running. Here comes. Come here. No. We don't fuck with the Dragon Katana guys.
Okay. Oh, they just use 1 TP.
On us? Oh,
No,
I
not
only
us.
have 8 arrows, bro. I need more fucking feathers.
Here, take this. I only have 18 feathers, but take that. Okay, right in front of us. Look at this. Okay, just can't hit shots. I hit it once and twice. 30, 26.
I'm getting more arrows. Bundle arrows. Hold on.
20.
Is this their teammates that they're running to? I think the teammates are running to on this
Maybe.
over here with the katanas.
16.
They're on your arrows, don't worry about it.
Oh, they're fighting over here to the right. Want to clean this? Actually, no. They just 290. I just killed them. It's only 2 HP.
Let's kill this one. This is where they're at. Shot him again.
5.1. 1.
Bro.
Killed him.
Get the, oh, yes! Get the homing
Holy,
arrow,
that's
bro.
a curve, dude. Do you have any arrows on him? Hope so. Any flint? Others?
Yeah.
Oh, he had gaps. He had 2 gaps. What's your healing?
Hit enchants on him. Or, yeah, he's enchants. In the head.
Okay. Take the head.
Look at a light apple on me. I have 2 heads. I don't have enough gold for anything, though.
Here, take the gold. Take out my gold.
Golden
Wait,
head.
I need that sword. I have 3 diamonds. Should I make a diamond sword? Make it sharp 3, maybe?
Do you still have crying obby?
No, I don't have any crying obby. There's some. I'm gonna get the armor here. Wait, he has nether war. This guy had nether war. What?
What? Bro?
Okay.
I think it's weird.
No, he had no blaze rods though. And I have.
Might be. We could make the things. We have gunpowder. Do you have gunpowder?
No, I have none.
you have enchants? Put enchants down for us.
Yeah. I'll make a diamond sword if I had wood. Got here.
How many diamonds do you have? I'll take the amethyst to get heads for a thing.
Okay.
We need to. What do we need for Reaper Scythe? We need. You
Just
have two
two
Crown
crown
Hobby,
hobby.
right?
Yeah. No, I don't have crown hobby. No.
Ooh.
And I get it from in trading. Wait, do you have lapis?
Here.
Darkness. Oh my god.
Dragon Katana plays.
Oh, in front of us. Watch out. Oh fuck.
The two.
I might die here. I perished.
They both have fire aspect on their Dragon Katanas, by the way.
Yeah, no. Fuck.
Dude. I get Doozum in here.
Yeah, do some. Come play. Let me know when you guys die. I'll get on. Bet. Dudes, get on.
It's not online. Like, how do they both have fire aspect fucking Dragon Katanas? I don't get it, dude.
Party.
Is there something that we're doing wrong? Are we missing something?
I don't even know. Yeah, it's dragon. Please, let's like nerf the dragon talent or like make it like harder to craft, dude. Add like
make it harder to craft
hobby.
or like, remove the fucking speed. I don't know why it's another sword, to be honest. For the first part, I don't know why they have to overload it all like that. The only nerf that Speed Silver was talking about doing on stream was fucking removing the stacking speeds. You can't get like speed 3, but like even that's still
even just speed 1 is just so OP.
It should not give you speed at all. If it's gonna be another right sword and give you teleports, it doesn't need the speed.
Yeah.
I guess we just have to rush another and try and get it because we lose without. Doozum is not.
Add him to the call. Whoops. You said add him when we're done.
Okay.
At Doozum. That's on.
I can probably do like. I need to get my cat off of my chair, bro.
How about you get a new chair instead of removing your cat from the chair, Doozum?
Yeah, honestly. I can play like one game, I think, then I probably have to leave. So.
Bet.
What this cat needs to get off of my chair.
Frick. Loki, we could have played that game with Booster, but he just got offline. So he asked me like,
Ooh.
I didn't even see the DM though.
Booster's like a thrower, so.
Wait, how was that? How was that Among Us lobby today?
Party invite. Do I join?
I didn't play Among Us today. What? Yeah, join.
Wait, the lobby didn't go?
I didn't play. I was busy.
Oh, I see.
Are you in Doozum? I invited you to a party.
I think you need to unnick.
Well, it says you're still invited. I'm on Nick right now, but it says you're invited already.
Oh, okay. You'll have to like wait a minute.
Oh, Doozum.
Just try and slash party join me. Just party join me, maybe.
Party join. Also in a really laggy lobby.
Maybe you need to try relogging though.
That player does not have an open party. I'm gonna just relog.
Should have worked.
I can't wait till the stream ends, bro. You don't understand, and I want to go outside, bro. I want to just like experience what outside feels like again. I've been just waking up and just looking at my PC and just looking at like, oh, dude, it's bad, bro. I just want to turn my PC off.
I invited you to them.
Feels weird saying that. I want to touch
that
grass.
offline.
Doozum.
You are already invited. Doozum. Party join me. Doozum and see if it works.
Doozum?
The party's to their friends. Doozum, you should be able to join. Doozum, are you here? It's 5 minutes for chilling.
Oh, do some. Oh, I think the server's like dying maybe again.
Yeah, it doesn't also like not talking.
So your mic might be
I think
muted
the
if you're
server
not.
seems fine. Yeah, I think it's them is an issue, not the server.
Uh oh, do some. I don't think he's gonna turn on. Oh, oh. Ow, my finger. I think we dodge this lobby since Susan can't get on.
Yeah. Is he like even in call with us still? I mean, he is, but like.
Bad. I think there's plenty of things I've been searching for that are totally legitimate, and things that I also haven't that aren't legitimate. But regardless, I think people then are gonna argue.
I just got a notification that Jim was out. What the heck? That's weird. Oh, I didn't slash hub in time. It's fine. There we go. Slash hubbed.
My friends list is empty right now.
Yeah.
Codified's online. I know you said we're in a party. Party leave. Party disband. Party invite. Does he even get in?
I can get in there.
Okay.
Use him on or is he
I
still not
invited
on?
dude. I don't know. I'm not sure what Disney's doing.
Use him, you're trolling. Oh.
Some just might be grouping us.
Use him. Come on now.
One second.
Okay. You good? Oh.
Alright. Getting a little
Recent
nervous.
The cat took a while to get off the chair.
Okay.
Wait, so you're actually trolling then you actually took the cat down instead of you getting a new chair. Alright, dudes, let's see how it is.
I was not about to get a new chair.
Oh no.
I call these in this
It's either I get the chair that
This is a very
it's
sweaty
either I
lobby.
get like a
Is it? Who else is in here?
chair from down.
Dazzner's Coldified and oh, never mind. Dazzner's not with Coldified. But Coldy's here.
Oh no, I gotta find this
New
guy.
codified is crazy.
Where the fuck is Coldy? Who the fuck is he?
Yeah, I can put this one that I have to go, I think.
Bet. Looking for a team without Qndres. Okay. Okay, like damn. See how it is? Like what I do to that guy? So I had the craziest game earlier. Not even crazy. It's like a noob guy just like stalking me the whole game because like he gave me his diamonds.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, was he on your team, Andres, or was he like just some random guy that gave you diamonds?
No, just on my team. Some random guy on my team just gave me diamonds and then just I don't know what I expected like out of it. Like I was like, oh thanks, bro. I just stalked him the whole game.
Interesting. Right, it's connection in this game. Surely they're not playing together.
Yo, XM, thanks for all. Appreciate it.
Is connection in this game?
I don't know. Well, my chat was asking if connection with Qndres. I'm live, by the way. You know that. I assume you
I
is
know.
live, but I don't
What
know.
happened?
I just saw his stream. Maybe
It could
with
be.
Coldy. Oh fuck, they are playing together. But this guy's on here.
Oh, okay.
All right,
What-
so we got Coldy and connection playing together. That's chill. Desner's
Neither of
left,
them know how
but
to
could
rush
be
nether.
disguising. Yeah, we've got to go to another. We have to get another first.
Fuck. All right, do some. Let's get it.
It's time to clutch up on the nether. I'll go mining and try and get us enchants. I can help you guys get to another first though.
Should I slash Nick? I should probably slash Nick.
I'm not.
Fuck it, I won't then.
I don't really care.
Yeah, we get targeted. We targeted who goes.
At the
Desner's
end of the
back. I
world.
don't think Desner's is playing with anyone though, unless like Coldy and
Yeah, I see.
Connection. Looking for good players.
Well, he just
yeah.
asked me, so
Who, Desnerth?
no Goldie.
Oh.
Yeah, but I bet Coldy to try to scoop you up. Unfortunately, we don't care. We got you first, W.
Uh-oh. Wait, so our lobby supposed to be 99, Guzum?
What? No.
Oh,
Why
so
is
that
it's...
this
was a
lobby so
joke.
big? Hello.
The lobby's not bugged, I swear.
Yeah.
We like this, though. We like this. More players, better.
100-player
More
lobby.
players, the better. Oh yeah, 10 teams of 10. This is what it was.
That's chill.
originally
100-player
was,
looby.
You know,
There's
like,
structure
teams
Oh,
of
looks like
nearby.
10.
projection. Oh, this is yeah, it's Sphinx.
Oh, there's a temple in
I
front of
see
the temple. I'm going
the-
temple.
yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
temple. I'm going temple.
I'm going
Give
to
up. What
because I
class
have
are you?
pick.
Because I don't have a pickaxe.
I have pickaxe.
do.
I'm landing on your butt.
Oh, there's people landing here. They're gonna beat me
Yeah,
down.
people
Probably.
already landing here.
You have to get me
Just
out.
not
I
very
have the looting class, but like
Alright. We going.
I'm coming down. Oh my god, I got shot mid-air. No fucking way.
I'm
I
going
got
to
so
the
touch. I got
bottom.
so touch.
Oh, that's really good.
You want? That is really good.
Unrelated, these chests are not really good. In fact, these chests are horrible. Alright,
Do
I'm
all of them
going.
already?
I looted all the ones I could. I got like 3 chests.
Where are you? Disney, yeah, you get me up, bro. I can't get it. I can't
Oh,
get
I
it from
see
here.
it. Okay. Get in here. We're staircasing to the sky. You have to shift jump into there.
Just
Piece of shit skeleton.
What's gonna happen? We're gonna wrap around to the
Yeah,
top.
Coldie's in this
I'll just
game. He's
grab a
pretty good. Really, really
staircase
good.
from there.
Yeah, I still have luck effect. I could come in another too.
I don't think that works.
This works on structures.
Apparently, that's just not how the luck potion actually works. This game.
Well, it's not custom coded. I assume it had to be.
Maybe, but I
Well,
know
the
that
point of
there is a
luck
luck
effect
potion in the
then.
game.
I know there's a luck one in the game,
Um,
but point if this shit doesn't.
Let's see
Like...
if I can find.
You might have to decide. Should be a good set, by the way.
Here we go.
I'm pretty sure Tim works in Dragon Katana. Yeah, I'm gonna waste
It does. But,
I'm
like,
gonna waste the Dragon Katana on Tim actually.
you know, that just doesn't sound very.
We'll get
worth it.
fucking Smite 5, Knockback 2. Yeah, that's what I wanted actually.
That sounds
Oh,
awesome.
I found diamonds.
Unless it's
Already?
like the
Yep.
same first level
How
30
many?
enchant every game.
It looks like
then maybe
one,
it's
but
worth
I
it.
hope it's not one. Oh, I found 2 veins of diamonds though, so hopefully it's more than.
Holy shit, bro. Cook.
We're gonna be pretty late. You're gonna have to be the one to go nether on just probably.
Yeah. Unless we find like a lot of water lava right now, but I don't think we're gonna find that. See a cave anywhere, Dizem?
I see a cave.
There's a body right there. I'll let our teammate get that.
For the text pack, use exclamation point TP.
I'm
That's
That's the
okay.
command.
Oh, okay, well. All good, I guess.
You
Don't need
can-
that head anyways. I got leather, I got 3.
Oh my
bullets.
god. Yo, Ant, look down here. Look at this iron vein.
Okay.
What is this?
What the
Average
fuck
iron
is that?
vein.
That's massive, bro.
Just 2 4 veins stacked on top of each other. Alright, we need to find water. Then, because that cave doesn't go
Fine,
down.
cool.
any
That cave
further.
is terrible. That cave does not go down.
Oh, there's
Oh.
a cave over here if you want to go to that.
Yoink. I just want my smelter pickaxe.
I'm trying to find.
I see a river. Do I? No, I lied. Sorry.
Wait, is there no Arctic team this game? Or is there always an Arctic team?
There is no Arctic team. Good
That's
eye.
not good, right?
Yeah, no, that's not good, but
Why?
there's a good eye.
You
Like,
can't
why
make
is
the
it
lich
bad?
staff.
Probably not one in this one.
Oh. Cool. Got a bucket already.
There's
These
just-
I just can't find any fucking.
You know, there's just no fucking water anywhere. I found a bunch of lava pools, but no water. I found a random guy. I'm
I see
gonna just take a shot at him.
diamond.
There you go. Someone's
Oh, I
already
missed that
down
jump.
there. Need water down here.
I got 3 diamonds. 3 more.
Nice. I have 5 on me.
Yes, we can make. Well, we're not gonna get another. We're not gonna get anything in another, bro. We are so slow.
I know, we just didn't get any water anywhere, which is really annoying.
I'm just gonna start mining, I guess, and get us like. I don't know.
Well, I got a hat.
That you that killed the guy?
Get another one. What happened?
That you that killed him?
Maybe.
I had that giant pop in my ear. I was like, oh, let's do some.
Yeah, I'll just.
Oh, I see
go
amethyst
do
actually.
that.
You want?
Wait a second.
Perhaps we get Reaper Scythe, and hopefully, if there's pots, we can see pushing effects. Could be a cook, or Artemis, but would also be a cook on this. But we need way more. Did you get any gunpowder from the thing?
I did. I have
Yeah,
14.
I got it.
Huh?
We got. Oh my god, there's a full water thing over here, bro.
Yeah, I have
There's
14.
a whole ocean.
You have 14 gunpowder.
Yes.
I have
If we get one
eight
more,
as
I
well.
have 2. I have 2. We can make 3 Artemis bows if we get, like bows. We just need bows
Oh,
right now. We
that's
can
worth
get 3 Artemis bows.
I don't know if it's
Oh.
worth it.
Yeah.
We can get it, but I don't know if it's really worth. Cause I don't think all of us are gonna be able to bow.
Okay, just at me right there. Come on, I'll do some. At Andres, you know.
Oh no, I mean like it wouldn't make sense.
Oh.
What?
Because if we had nobody melee and then they try to melee us,
We have enough diamonds to
Probably
get probably 2 to 3 swords and enchants, or we can do like 2 swords and an Artemis, or 2 Artemises and a sword. If you want to just go
might as-
melee, do some, you could.
hold on. I'm gonna just go nether anyway, but
Just for, yeah. I
Oh, I
wouldn't
don't even
mind
have
some more
gold.
diamonds though.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say no to more
Oh.
diamonds, but
Look at that. 5 diamonds again.
let's check. Maybe we can all get Artemis and diamond swords.
I have 8 on me.
how many do you have, Ant? Ant, how many do you have?
Huh?
many
I have 3
diamonds?
diamonds. I have 3. I have 3.
Okay, so we have 11 total.
So 2, 4, 6, 8. So we can all have diamond swords plus.
I
Artemis.
found Bastion, but someone's already in it.
Okay, try and get the.
Just try-
Maybe
I'll
they'll
try
like
to
full
go
looter
to
chest
the
or something.
top. Yeah,
Maybe they're like a bad looter. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe they don't know how to loot it at all.
They're just like me.
well, I'm about to find out. Oh, they broke the chest. They are a pretty bad looter, but I don't know where I thought. You know, there's like 4 people in here. We just had such a bad spawn.
Yeah. I'm down to just get
Oh, no.
enchant. I'm down to like get enchants and just meet up with enchants and get Artemis and kill people with
Yeah,
like
that's kinda the main
range
thing we
and
have to
diamond
do.
swords. We can. I think we can all get sharp 3s and like 1 or 2 Artemises. So like we're chilling. We got a lot of
This
diamonds.
housing, someone might just force pots.
Fuck.
I hope not.
Well, how do you force how do you force spots? What?
What does that mean? How do you force pots
Um,
with housing?
Force, you get the nether wart at the bottom.
Wait, there's another word
Uh,
there?
Yeah, there's nether wart in housing bastions.
How about
Like in
What?
the middle. Usually like at least like 10. So just
The
all
hell?
the nether wart you'd need.
Did you see it there or no?
No. I didn't look, but no point. There's like 5 people there, one of them would have grabbed it.
Alright, Susan, what do you think we should do?
We can just do a bunch of Artemis bows with
Sharp threes.
like the Sharp 3, yeah.
Alright.
Because right now we have 11 diamonds total.
Yeah.
So we need 2 for enchants,
Yeah.
4 for 2 art bows,
And
and
then
then 2 more for sword, unless one of you want to make a sword as well. Okay, so base we need 6 diamonds and then 5 spare, and then we'll have 5 spare. So we can make
So we
2
can make 2
swords
more
if we wanted
swords,
to.
yeah. We have 2 swords, 2 Artemis bows. Unless
I'll be honest, I suck with the bow. So I'll probably take the sword, and maybe you two can take Artemis, or
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
fine having diamond sword for now. And Jism, you got Artemis and sword, and Andres gets a sword. I don't know if I have enough for that, but
We
is
do.
that, yeah, we'll
yeah,
see
we
right
can
now.
make 2 diamond
Um,
swords and 2 Artemises, I think, right?
Yeah, and enchants.
We could make 3 Artemis, I guess, but I don't have string, by the way. That's like
I have string.
I didn't get how much.
I have mine chef. I get a lot.
Okay, didn't get enough for each of us to get a bow, I guess. We should probably meet. I don't think I actually don't. I don't have any
Obby.
obby. I can get 4 lava buckets though, if we want.
Alright, yeah, that works.
Oh, and I'm in a minecart. I'm trolling.
Nice.
I'm
Oh, you
making
don't
a
need
TNT
like
minecart,
9?
actually.
9, right? I need 9.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
ready to. We should meet up. Honestly, we should meet up now and get ready, and then because I'm sort of good to go.
Yeah, I found some gold in this cave, so I'm just gonna grab
I'm down
it
to meet
real
up
quick.
early and like get super ahead.
Yeah. Yes, I'm almost done, Swan. Yes,
I'm
yes, I'm
the
almost
last part of
done.
this cave right here, and then diamond? Question mark? Diamond. Fuck. Okay.
This guy found diamond.
No, I would not mind finding Daznith or Coldy early and killing it. If we could, you know, pull that off. Not opposed to that.
Same.
Where is that team on this thing?
You can't use the instant power book on a Artemis, right? Like it doesn't let you.
No. Tried it
Well, that'd be
already.
so
I
good.
think Cold did that shit again.
Did
You dodged.
Coldy? I wouldn't be surprised, bro.
Okay.
I tried to type his name and it's not here, so
He doesn't have a slash neck, so we're
Would
chilling.
not be surprised, yeah.
How long have you been playing?
very scary team.
Total of what? 4 days now? 3 days
Ooh.
now?
Apparently.
Yeah.
I found my own mine shaft.
Long
I'm gonna
time.
get some webs real quick before I go out.
Right.
Let's meet up though. Let's like start meeting up though.
yeah.
I'm staircasing up.
I want to explore this cave and then I'll go up. A lot of gold in this cave.
No.
The queue for Fortnite. What the?
Fuck. Okay, I think I gotta mine up from here. God damn it. Oh, this is so much.
Do we even have books? I don't think we do.
I have 3 leather.
Okay, we just need to get cane.
I see
That
a
was
whole
all
team
my
right here.
favorite
Just,
thing.
I don't know what they're doing. I think they're actually getting pots. No, they're suffocating their friends.
Oh,
Okay, that's Sean.
Okay. Well, if we want free heads, right there.
We'll go. Let's get our enchants up and get all our items and go back and do that.
Oh, I missed that. Sit down correctly in my chair. I'm 500 blocks from you, Ed.
Okay, I just hit service.
Yep.
Oh, there's a teammate here. What the fuck? I'm 300 blocks from Doozum. You should probably just meet at Doozum, I think, right?
Use them. Yeah, I'm 166 blocks from Doozum. I can get
1,
there.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Just keep chickens on the way.
Yeah. Are you coming up right now? Oh,
Doozum is
we
not
lost
talking.
him again.
He's...
We lost him again.
I'm right above him though.
I'm waiting to you guys. If you want to start making enchant stuff, go for it.
Going up.
Okay.
Hold on, cows. I'm out of food, bro. What?
Wait, what is it? Okay. Their teammate? Yeah, it's teammate, I think.
I have sugarcane. Do you guys get sugarcane or no? A little bit.
Yeah, we need sugarcane for the book. Making chance. Oh, yeah. It's a cow. I mean, I see a... What is this called? Horse. See a horse. / vote.
I'm coming, you guys. 200 blocks of them. My inventory is full of random shit though.
Today, drop me 2 diamond. Or 4.
Yes.
Doesn't matter how many.
Wait.
Probably 4 because
I'm going to use them.
Artemis.
Okay.
I'm coming. I see you guys. Hello.
You got the telescopes?
I have the obby. I have the obby and the telescopes.
That's not us, by the way. You gotta keep running straight, I think. Wait.
Bro, this is you. No, it is you.
Wait,
Is
I'm
it
dumb.
Them? Yeah, it is
Wait,
you
I'm
guys.
dumb.
Let's see.
Hold on.
What are we missing? We're missing Kane, right?
Here, dudes, I'm here. I have a sugarcane. I have a little bit here.
Who's
And
Archer's bow?
you.
No, I mean like bucks.
Leather,
I have 8 leather here. Leather.
Oh.
Probably need more though. Our team has diamond.
we're definitely gonna
cans.
need more.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Do you have I'm missing.
I'm gonna make the TNT real quick.
Actually, just use this book to make enchants.
Oh, I need the gunpowder shit. I need you.
Here.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going with the sand to make the TNT.
Here, enchants down.
You make Did you make Artemis?
Not yet.
And?
I have to make TNT.
I have the TNT. Can I use this short bow? I don't know if I can use the archer's bow for this.
You can.
I need diamonds. I need diamonds. I need diamonds.
Over here.
2 diamond.
Yeah, I'm making diamond sword then.
Wait, I have a bow. It's not letting me. I have bow. What do I need? Bow, TNT, spyglass, 2 diamonds.
4
I'm gonna need-
feathers.
I need 4 feathers. I don't need feathers.
Here.
My God.
I need 1 book for sharp 3.
I think we all need 1 book for sharp 3.
Fuck. Okay.
There is an ocean north. I'll go check it out real quick.
I need
What do you need?
I guess I'm just making. I guess I just enchant armor, right?
Yeah. My
An
table.
I guess it's the business thing. That's best thing.
All right, I'm gonna go toward this like literally just team that was just camping on top naked. So
I got 6 can, so we can get the 2
Okay.
books we need.
aren't you from Tap Hill? Yeah, I think that's me. That's me. I think Tap Hill server,
I
right?
need,
Yeah, it's me.
I
Hi.
have enchants. I don't have
Hello.
inbuilt. Dude, I'm where are you?
I'm running to.
You guys can. You guys made sharp 3s, right?
Yeah.
I haven't been mine yet.
Here.
Please ancient.
Did I give you here? Here's the TNT behind you, Jism.
Hold
And a
on.
diamond.
I already made it.
Oh, I just have an
What's-
extra one.
What's Gumball on?
Yeah, I made my own gunpowder. Do you have an anvil? Or what?
No, I can make one though. Let me.
Okay. That's good. I'll need that power.
I have diamond sword for you. Ant.
Thank you. Is it
on.
unenchanted? What does that have on it?
Unenchanted.
Okay. I need a book. Do you have another book using for me?
There you go.
Get
That's my last
Obby?
book though.
Wait, this guy had 7 diamonds on him. We can make another art for me.
Yeah, we can make an art for you. I have a TNT. I need the
Okay.
copper. I need copper. Actually, I have copper allied.
Okay, I'm going up already. That was actually a W kill for me then. Jesus.
Alright, we need 4 feathers then.
You need
Yep.
fur feathers. Do you need to go find feathers? Where are you?
I have others. I have others.
Alright, you're good though. You can make
Okay,
it.
when you let's go. I just need healing now. I need go through these trees and get some fucking leaves.
I have 3 gaps of geode and a normal head. If you have gold, I can make another geode.
Oh, I
I
have
have
gold for
24
you.
gold.
I have
24 gold.
35.
I'm just trying to get apples and leaves right now. We're sort of stacked. I think we would be good by killing people now.
Yeah, probably.
I just want arrows. Yeah, I used to remember you in the Shattered Nightbot. One more, I forgot who it was. Was it Meat Shattered Iser, maybe? For
You
Hill?
know I'm crying. I'll be doing.
No.
No.
Should I hold on on the off chance that like somebody we find has
doesn't.
some? Unders, where are you?
I'm coming right here. See me. What's up, Doozum? What do you need, Doozum?
Yeah,
Gold. 8 gold.
it's here.
Here, take
I need
this.
that diamond sword.
The diamond sword.
That works too.
Oh, wow. Artemis bow. Thank you. I see arrows, but I can get that later. Do you have any chance I like shuriken?
No, no chicken.
Fuck. Okay. Oh, I have a soak touch book, but I don't know if I want to use it.
I need I have 2 saddles. Do you want to go on a saddle here?
Thanks, Saddle.
I have 1 diamond. I don't need this. I'm giving it up. I'm gonna
take
take
it.
it for now.
Gunpowder away.
Okay.
I need like I need feathers. I just need feathers for arrows
Same.
right now.
Same. We can go to 0-0 on the way, right?
Yeah.
I have full regular obby on me, just
I
sitting
can just
there.
use. I have 2 tracker packs. I could just use one right now.
But
Sure.
Bang.
oh, that's not
We'll
0-0.
just get-
It's not really 0-0.
Let me see lava by the way. I need lava.
We find that on the way.
I haven't seen anybody else with Dragon Katana or thing in chat yet.
There is just nobody anywhere.
Yeah, where is everybody? Question mark?
I might
Ooh,
use
chickens,
tracker
hello.
pack again.
No, it's the wolves, I'm allowed.
I'm probably gonna use tracker pack again just to have a more updated angle.
Yeah, use my track if you want. Use mine. Should get wood.
That'd be fine.
I see people. I think I just saw someone's head pop out in the distance. Yeah, over here. Someone's Moosham head. Later.
Oh yeah,
I see him,
the
let's see,
people.
this
It's
is
a
the
bunch
Three,
of
3, 4. Oh my god, massive amount
It's
of
a
people.
whole team.
Why is it pushing us?
Here's arrows.
And then fucking... Oh, it's on, one more.
Nice.
He's
8.
on it.
I don't have any
I don't have any
arrows.
arrows, I don't have any arrows. This is a whole team? This is a whole team, by the way.
Nice, good.
Damn it, this. Fuck.
Oh.
Yeah, dudes picked up the arrows.
No, I
This
already
might be the
had
team that went nether, by the way. Maybe.
it.
They have another thing here, maybe they did actually.
they're fighting
Maybe we
right
should
now,
kill
too.
this
They're
guy.
fighting. You know, these guys are fighting.
I'm getting backstab.
Hopping in that.
I'm good. There's him here,
I
man.
got this one.
Diamonds. I'm grabbing these guys'
Yeah,
diamonds.
yeah,
Hold on.
grab the diamonds. Keep rolling and keep going.
Fucking wolf, fuck off. Your wolf is like annoying as others. I can't lie. I see gold here. Hold on.
I got that one.
Okay.
No, I'm trolling. Hold on.
How low is this guy?
don't
Just
know.
Yeep. He's on that team. Oh, I see.
Harming. Let's go.
Let's go, Doge. What up, Doge?
No. Any more? I need some.
They all just scattered over this way, southwest.
I have 2 more diamonds. How many diamonds do we have on us?
That's 6.
I think I make a
6. We can make a chest plate. Yeah,
Yep.
just drop that. Drop those 6 over on over to me.
Okay, this
Oh,
should
honest,
give
honest,
it
honest.
these guys
Whoa.
first.
You do some take them.
Yoink.
Is he on?
Hey,
Yeah, that full iron's on time, by the way. The one you're
Okay.
chasing.
Like, fuck.
What on me with the. I'm getting backstab, Susan. They're Andres, turn around.
Oh my god. I'm dead probably here.
I'll Jihad for you.
Thank you.
My dogs just got a kill.
I'm running it back.
Careful, both
Yeah,
of
yeah, he's he stopped chasing me.
Careful, Ant. You were
You by yourself.
very low. And
I
you're
don't,
getting
bro, I'm out
over
of healing, bro.
Oh, okay. I can give you healing. Just don't engage. Not too much.
I have healing for you.
Oh my god. Our teammate got dropped.
Oh,
Both
Nice.
these guys on full.
here, take this.
I need healing, bro. I need healing.
That's 3 guys in front of me. Here.
Angry bird.
Shot one. 3 hearts.
Oh yeah, I see.
You're by yourself or coming?
2
here?
hearts.
The one that's fucking.
1. Come on, Shirley. Okay, that one hits. He's on 6.
No, you got him again.
Come on, he
Why
had a
can
gap.
dip
I think.
down? Dude, I mean, I don't know.
I ran out of blocks.
Shit, my
They
guy
up
almost
here?
died there.
Are they on you guys? Where are they?
No, they're not, there's all the way up there still.
Shot him
I
once.
shot. It's on 20. DJ, he ate a candy and he got poisoned. Or wither, I don't know which one.
Oh, there's a whole team on me.
You just stay alive. We're on the other one. Stay alive. Under.
Yeah,
They were on the boat.
I'll try.
Under. The other one's above. Dude's on the other one's above us. I'm jumping down with you.
Yeah, just come down.
There's, yeah, the whole team with one's Midas. They guys are
Oh,
easy
Oh,
to
there's a
kill.
whole new
Gonna come help
team,
'em. Just go help them.
bruh. I don't even know if we can we kill these guys. They have like Midas and shit, bro. Dude, I don't know if
Oh,
these
behind.
guys. Oh my god. You guys like a team of like fucking like.
On one, nice.
I got his head. I'm gonna make the jihad. Fucking jihad for you, Andres.
Yep, I bought 1 and 2.
Get that one. There's like 8 people.
I'm gonna get him.
I'm in water right now.
Jihad.
That's 131.
I accidentally opened chat.
One at 7 HP.
Tell me if you need healing. I have a jihad. Tell me if you need healing. I have a jihad. Bro, I need so much random shit in my inventory.
This is how weird of a spot this is.
You good, do some?
I guess I'm 3. Oh, it's Dad's news. That's kind of funny. Don't count on me not dropping. Because I'm very fragile. Oh, I ran out of arrows. Wait, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to get arrows right now, but I'm trying to kill like chickens through arrows over here.
More bundled arrows.
Oh my god, oh my. Why does
Just,
somebody
just
even...
spawn and run, yeah.
Well, I'm out of like arrows, unfortunately.
I have a stack of gold. Maybe I should.
Yeah, just get healing if you can.
Yeah, we should be good. Oh, another team. Oh no, it's different people.
Another team?
Just like a team of two. Don't worry about it too much.
I do them.
Yo,
It's on
because
18.
there seems to be a team of like 8 on us with arrows, assuming.
How frequently does this home?
What are we even enchanting table?
Yeah, but they're still chasing. They still want us dead
Yeah,
for some
yeah,
reason.
yeah. Oh, in front. I see team full diamond guy or 2 pieces.
Nah,
2 pieces and 1 piece. Team of 2.
You can just run them into them. They get a lot more people
Yeah.
than these guys. But they're realistically they'll probably just keep chasing us.
Probably.
I can like stray away. I can just make like 8 gaps real quick.
Go for it.
But,
I think they stopped chasing Loki. They
No,
Loki's.
they're definitely
they're
on
still
me.
chasing.
Nope, nope. Loki, they're
Definitely
still on
chasing.
us.
No, they still, yeah. We just gotta cut left here because I think we're running. Actually, no, we're good. We can just keep running straight here.
It looks like they're on you guys.
Yeah, they are on us. Get whatever you need to them. I have a feeling to probably survive it for a bit, but like
You know, I can just make 8 gaps. And also want to try to.
Andres, maybe I don't see them behind me anymore.
Oh, they're all on me.
What?
Yeah, they're all on Duzum. They
Oh, I
start
see them.
chasing
I see
Duzum.
them. Yeah, they are on them. Shit.
It's actually kind of awesome though.
I see one of the teammates. I'm gonna try to cut him off here. 19.
Are they still running?
No, they're right below your tree, but I'm running this time. They're just
Yeah,
camping your
I don't know
tree.
what to do. Yeah, I made the 8 gaps.
I'm like 100 blocks from you guys. I don't really know what to do. I see you guys in the tree. I see you in the tree over there.
Let's Duzum,
There's
yeah.
them.
They're like in the right below the tree. Be careful. I'm gonna try to get gravel or flint.
Oh, I see a shit ton of them. Yeah.
I'm gonna
I need
jump
feathers,
now.
bro. I have flint. I need feathers.
How much flint do you have?
I have 9.
Okay.
My grand escape. They don't even know I'm gone. See, I'm not even there anymore.
You don't know you're there. You just dipped.
Yeah, you good? Do something up.
Hey,
Yeah,
he
no.
dipped.
I want to get more arrows. I have 5 heads on me.
Oh, okay.
Do you have
Sure. I
any-
can still make G heads, but
Yeah, I don't have any gold.
that's a problem. Okay.
Well, I have 2 gold, but that's it.
I don't really have a lot of gold yet right now either. I need lava. I don't have any lava. There's a thing on the border right now. Andres, I'm going to you.
Okay.
I need the enchant table.
You still
Probably
have
might
any?
just play it.
Oh.
See you,
I
man. Just
see
for custom.
something. I see a team of 3 that all have more gear than me.
Oh, okay.
Team of 3. Is it the yellow team?
No, it's probably the
Red team, maybe?
blocking team. Yeah, the one of them.
Oh, that grass team has dragon katanas.
That's awesome.
Or a dragon katana. Under the
Which-
enchant.
Okay. Here I'm gonna drop the. You'll see the enchant right there.
Yeah.
They're chasing. There's one chasing you, by the way. Do some. Only one, by the way.
Oh yeah, I see.
No, there's more. There's definitely more to the side coming behind. Andres,
Oh,
to your
yeah.
side, to your side, behind you, behind you.
Oh, he has a jihad. He's jihad.
Yeah, you just cheated. Dude, these arrows just don't want to hit.
Thoughts about going nether here?
Shut up. I think full bow as well, which is Pretty cool. Oh, one of them is katana. That's awesome.
Yeah, one of them is katana. You
Not
fighting
this way,
them,
do some.
or-
Right to you.
Are we fighting them or no?
That was like 4 for a second. No.
I just want that arrow.
You go. Oh my
Mm.
god, there's a stack. I'm running away. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, I don't really want to fight that right now.
Oh, look, we can
Bro,
run
they
this
have
in.
like two. They have 2 and 3 pieces, bro. They're so rich, and we're like not. Like when you start cutting towards the right, by the way, to go to 0. Or sorry, not right, left.
Wait, they actually might catch up to me. I need. Can you guys maybe bow them off here? Nice, thank you.
I shot him once. You don't need to shoot.
I'm gonna
you
look
can
for a
just
team. I'm
run.
gonna look for a team. If we go straight this way, it's 0. It's right here, right here. On me, on me. 2 pieces. 3... Oh my god, these guys are stacked into their minds. Holy fuck, dudes. These guys are
Oh, this
stacked.
is the other katana team. Just run them into each other. There's also
Surely these guys
another
are going
team.
for us.
They're not. They're fighting.
Oh,
Do you
they're
have
fighting,
any
they're fighting, they're
healing?
fighting, they're fighting.
Do you have any healing, guys? I have like 0.
Here,
I have
I
10
went to.
gaps.
Here you go.
Thank you.
I have 10 gaps.
I have 2 gaps and a jihad. That's it.
Take 3.
Those guys are fighting, by the way. Those are like,
and
we should
take
definitely try and 3.
3. Yeah, we have
Audrey, you have
to
feathers? You have feathers?
No, 0, 0, 0.
Fuck.
I have like 10 full
I
now
think
though.
we try and loot swipe this a little bit.
RDV2 is low.
He's right here.
Wait, get this one right here.
Yeah, this one. This, I said that guy right there.
15. 17 right here.
Shot him, shot him, shot him, shot him.
Oh, shoot this guy. He's on 15.
Behind you, Audrey's behind you. Midas and Dragon Katana.
I see him.
I'm coming, coming. He's teleporting out, teleporting out.
Might be perishing here soon.
I'm getting 1v2'd. in a close
We're
corner.
getting Dragon Katana TP'd on.
Yeah, I shot him off here. I got him off here. On us, on us, on us.
Yep. Okay.
Dizem, we are in
Yeah,
danger.
very much
Also
danger,
in
Duzum.
danger. I'm getting 1v2.
His teammate's low. His teammate's low, Andres. If we're gonna turn, I think we turn. Oh, there's 3 of them. There's 3 of them on us, bro. There's 3 of them on us. Holy shit.
Yeah.
This guy's on me. It's the Dragon Katana Midas guy. I'm gonna need help, Dizem. Where are you?
Where did that arrow just go?
Duzum, I'm cutting someone off right now. He's low. You can cut him off actually.
I'm nowhere near you.
You are.
Oh yeah, I see him. I see him. He's
So-
on 9. I'm bowing. 3.
He's coming to you. Behind you, Dragon Katana Midas.
Oh
Couldn't
my
get out,
god.
Andres, or Dizem.
Holy. You know, this guy is just full focus on me, which is very awesome, I gotta say. Okay, I'm getting 1v2 right now.
He's on 4. This Andrew guy. Yeah. Fuck.
I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna drop.
Yeah. Oh fuck. This guy just ate another jihad.
Okay, just head out. I'm getting just
They did
1v2 right now. They're just fully abandoning. Oh wait, no, their teammates are.
This guy, I'm dead.
Yeah, it's the. Yeah.
Fuck, dude. I'm dead.
I could definitely drop his teammate, but you should help your teammate get some healing, you know? Yo, guy with katana behind me if you want to kill him. He's on it. Yo, chat. Katana guy behind me on 8. You know, if you want to, go for him. You know?
I got 2 on me. I got 2 on me. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die here.
Enable in. What's up? I found loot on the floor. I'm gonna try to loot it fast. I can get candy and stuff.
Dude, I'm never going back to you or Andres. One of you two is like on
Dude,
me.
who just backstabbed? My god, it's not even one of those players. It's just a random guy.
I'm out of healing and I'm like low, but I'm in. I got away.
The guy with katana died. Oh my
Is that how I got
god.
dead?
Yeah, no, one of them.
Andres,
There's
I'm coming to
many.
you.
Okay.
Are they on you, Andres?
No, they're not. No one's on me right now. I see a full line though, enchanting. Oh, wait, it's 2 of them.
Very awesome.
Wait, I'm gonna be this whole time. I see. I'm getting chased right now by 2 people.
Bro.
But I can probably.
it?
It's just 2. Like 1. I'm not gonna lie, they're newbies.
Andres, I'm coming. I have no healing, but I'm coming. We sort of gotta take this, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't that you behind me?
10, 1.
I'm failing. Arc
One more on
candles
you. I am
A.
still alive.
I look, you want to take his teammate.
Does him here?
I'm not here. Oh, Qndres as well. Good job again.
This guy's at 50. Yo, this guy's at 54!
I got him.
Nice.
Nice.
No healing though. Fuck. Arrows.
28.
28. He's gonna run back into the other team, bro.
Here's a Jed. Why do you have that?
I have like no healing. I'm sort of low, I'm on already.
He's fully on you. He's on 11. He'll probably reel you in. Can you bow?
I don't have any arrows. I don't have any arrows.
Oh.
He reeled me, but no, I'm coming. I'm coming back. I'm staying with you. He's going to keep going. Chase that. Chase that.
Nice.
Nice. Here, here's that. Can you make any more jades or no?
I can make, I can make all my
can't.
jets. Okay, I'm coming up. Fuck. I have one head. That's my healing.
I can do some gamba, but also
I can make my
also
jets
just
though.
make jeds, yeah.
I have 7 gold.
Take that. Take that. I'll drop gold in there. I'm gambling this side.
Gambling one. Do we have an anvil? And I get a
Oh
stack
my
of
God.
iron. Yes, that's what I wanted actually, guys.
Okay, I have 2 heads on me.
I have
Should
no
I just
healing.
gambit?
Do normal heads? Yeah, just gamble them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stop my both my light apples too, so it's GG's. I need redstone. Do you have redstone?
Yeah, yeah. Take.
Hit me up.
I have 7 gold. That's it. I don't have
I have 4.
bro.
I have 7 gold as well.
I can make a jet. I'm just like I'm out of healing. I have nothing.
Please, apples or gold.
Sort of looking
No.
doomed, guys.
Gold, okay.
Pretty good. Okay, we can make like 4 gaps total.
Here, I made
All
a.
our gold combined.
Yeah, I got 4 gaps on me and 1 G head. And what's your healing?
None. Literally 0.
Take
and I'm
this.
Like, I'm like almost only one row of hearts. Honest.
Yeah, Dragon Katana, guys.
I don't have any arrows either, by the way. I'm not gonna lie, I think this is a run angle, but you can't really run, can you?
Nope.
Fuck. Jason, I think you only have 1 on you, Jason. There's 2 on Jason, 1 on you, I
Yeah, it's
think.
the katana guy though.
I'm coming. I mean, you wanna try and take one with the katana guy? I'm coming behind him.
Oh my god. A fucking speed too.
Holy shit.
I'm coming over, dude, I'm coming over. He's gonna run, bro. Yeah, he's running
I
away.
can keep going.
I don't know how many arrows do you have, Jason? I don't have any arrows.
Not many.
Andres, you
We're
are getting
running
run into
all
by
over the
another
place.
one.
Yeah,
Careful,
yeah.
Andres. You got 50 seconds, do them. Behind you,
There's
behind you, getting back up.
Did he cheat? He
Send
didn't
the lead,
even
guys, send the
cheat.
lead,
He
fellas.
just
Oh my
normal
god,
held.
I'm getting
Yeah,
blocked
we
up by
just
you
gotta
guys.
run. Got a blast. I know what we have to do. We have to drop the not no person.
Yeah, he's not really that good.
Which one?
Yeah. Now the Midas and Katana guy.
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep bowing him. in the
We
meantime.
got 20 seconds. 20 seconds of deathmatch. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get healing from this or not, but
I have 4 apples by the way. So we can just make something. I only have 5 arrows though.
I got 2
Okay.
more apples.
Ooh, I got
have
away.
one. I think
Holy fuck.
we're
Okay,
next
we
to us, but
gotta
no, that's a different
drop
union.
gold. Drop gold on the left. I'm gonna make
Okay.
on the heel.
I have. This is. Can't, bro. I can't even turn, bro. I'm stuck.
We have a team, by the way. Just been AFK the whole time.
Yeah, here, gold. That's all I have. That's all I have.
Gold.
Happened to.
Our teammate just took
Qndres'
it too
gold.
from you. Oh my god, bro. They're gonna get middle. They're gonna get middle, Andres.
Yeah, they got.
This house right here. This house right here, maybe.
Well, they're fighting right now.
2 gaps. 2 gaps and more gold. More gold. Do some more.
I only have 2 gold right now.
I have 4.
Okay, we can.
Oh, could we get this guy maybe?
We just need to focus one of those players.
I don't know how we're gonna drop him, bro.
I don't think we even like fight this team. I'll be honest with you.
One coming. Geez, I need to do them.
That guy's on 4.
Dude, they're all okay. They're just
One.
all going.
Nice.
They're all going for you, Dism. They're all going for you. They all want you. They all want you, bro.
I want you dead, Duzum.
Are you still trying to follow that? You know, they're all just going.
You
For me. You have
this
to
Nick guy's at
chop
15.
one.
This guy's at 15. This guy's at 15. The Nick guy. The Dragon Down on Mighty guy's at 15. 15. 15. 15.
He's on 9.
Yeah, he's on 9. He's on 9. Turn him.
He's on 52. Fuck.
He's on 1. He's on 4. He's on 4. One of them logged out. One of them logged out. Get them out. Get them out. Get it. Get it. Get it. I killed it. I killed it.
On you. On you.
Holy fuck.
This guy's just full focus on me.
Wait. Fuck. There's a dude here.
I made a gap. I'm eating it though.
I'm just wait for you. What do you mean damage just wait? Do some?
I need one.
Yeah, but
Now.
Andres, you need it? Andres here. Andres here.
I don't know healing.
Sharp,
It's fine.
Sharp 3. I have 1 gap. It doesn't matter, bro. Just take it. I got 4 gold on me right now. I need more. I don't have any more.
Here, I have this.
There's still a team of 3. We have to fucking.
On me,
We
bro.
have to focus.
Fuck off, dude.
We
I have
just
3 gaps
to
on me right
pick
now.
up
Andres
the
here.
other
Andres,
one.
where are you? Above, there's a
Wait.
guy above you. A diamond just playing a fucking here. Andres here. Andres here. Andres here. I'm thinking it right here.
Dude, this guy needs to wake up.
That guy's on 30 now.
Sorry?
Where's he got-
No,
where's he
he
healing?
was on like.
I threw out 1 gap right there. Okay.
Oh, I see it.
And they probably. I need arrows, bro. I have no arrows. I have nothing.
Wait, how much gold do we have?
9, I think.
Oh damn.
You have any healing, Eggstein? Give you healing. I have no more, bro. I just like eat a gap. Okay.
He's on 35.
Oh, this guy here.
Let's go ahead and you know, guys. Yep. Run,
right
run,
there.
guys, run.
He's on 23.
The guy's at 20. The Nate guy's at 20. The Nate guy's at 20, by the way. The Nate guy
Yeah,
behind
no,
the
we
over 20.
just.
We have the turkey. We have the turkey Nate, I think. Or this guy's
Yeah,
running
no,
into us.
Nate's just gonna. Nate's the most susceptible to dropping.
That guy's taking a lot of damage. That guy's
Just
taking a lot of
gonna
damage.
train them up.
Yeah, 13. Andres guy's on 13.
What are you two on the stack?
I'm on him.
We need every single
He's
one.
on
On 4?
4. He's on
There's one
4.
There's one on 2. There's one on 2. Andre,
Yeah,
I'm just distracting this one on.
Yeah,
there.
3 back here. 3 back here.
I have this
Yeah,
one.
guys on
on
3.
me.
Guys on 3. Like, or 10.
Uh,
Like, Andres, behind you. Turn.
here, right here.
The Jed.
You know these guys just.
He's at
this
20.
guy
He's at
just
20.
fully
He's at 20. He's
wants
at
me.
20.
Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, no, I'm dead. I'm dead. Right? And I'm dead.
He's at
I
4.
don't
He's
know,
at 4. Andres. Oh my god. He's at 2. You got a fucking gap off, bro.
Nice.
Nice.
Good kill. If he really
This
wanted
guy's
to,
this
you
guy's
could
at this
try
guy's at
res.
Oh my god, I'm bowling him so hard.
If Andres, if you pick up
They're
those
together,
diamonds
they're
and you
together,
have
they're
redstone,
together.
you could go for
I
res.
read some. We can res.
Not
Those
back
what, the
there. It
diamonds?
was on the pile you jumped.
Got it.
Alright.
Yeah,
If you
Oh,
have
so,
one redstone, you can and a gap. You
Yeah,
can
I read
flip
some
for
here.
res.
Andres here.
You need one
I don't have a
gap.
gap. I don't have a gap.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, they're at Nate's at 20. Nate has no more healing. I think we should be stuck with like no healing left now.
You have an extra
Artemis
sword if
bow.
possible?
I have
Yeah,
4.
I dropped one there. Drop one and pop one right there. Oh fuck. Let me just.
Honest. Look out. One sec
Be
here.
careful.
Use them. I got some. I need an apple. Shit. Do them here. Artemis. Here. And damage display. We need to take out the Nate guy. He's the one who's gonna drop. He's like low on healing.
Some here. 3s.
I'll take you.
4
4 diamonds. Wait, wait.
Pick and choose.
I have 6 gold. I can make one more. You have 1 more gold? Can make another gap.
Yeah. One more. Bro, we're
Any-
fucking
any
living
apples?
the
Any
max
apples?
right now. Here, apple over here. 2, 3. There you go.
Fucking poison. It's fine. $32. Can't like block. You can get this kill.
Here, here. This guy's like this guy with the katana is like solo here.
Yo, get the.
Yeah,
get
go
the-
here,
get
go
the
here,
healing,
get the
the
healing, get the healing, get the healing.
3 gaps. I have 3 gaps. Anyone?
Give me
I only have
one.
one, I have one.
Here, use it.
me
No,
any
I'm
gap.
pushing.
Inside house. Inside house.
Okay, I'm getting it.
26 on this guy.
We're
Main
trying.
guy.
Other guy's coming in. He's still full focused on me. Oh wait. Alright, teammate died.
Yo, no. Right here. 12.
8,
9, 9.
7.
Careful behind you, and behind me as well, because this guy wants to fight me for some reason.
Good friend. Nice hand.
Got
Oh,
him.
nice.
Back up.
I'm eating gapple. 37 on this gun.
Okay, if we go
I mean,
in on that guy.
yeah, do. Or Roger,
Yeah. We might just
Hey,
have
like-
to play full bow now. I think we just play full bow, play together.
I have no arrows.
got the katana, by the way.
I have no arrows.
Charge.
I mean,
Ink.
I got katana in one of those bodies.
Hey, look, he's in the
Careful,
water.
Andres.
17, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4.
I'm coming.
me.
Coming. I have no arrows, bro. I have no arrows.
4. Right in there's 4. I don't know what he's saying, but probably talking shit. Hey, watch it.
On me.
Yes,
Oh, I'm low. I'm really low.
Full bow.
We just have to play full bow on this one.
He's at 30. I mean,
27. Nice. He's gonna get into it. Careful.
yeah, 20 to 20. I'm gonna drop. I have no healing.
And 5, he's dead. GG's. Oh
Shit,
my
yeah,
god.
GG's,
We
bro.
are loving it to the max, boys.
Oh my god, bro.
Dude, I was like 4 inches away from my
Holy.
monitor, dude. Oh my god.
Those guys are so angry we're using Artemis, by the way.
I know, dude.
Holy.
How did we win that? We're full irons, dude. Oh my
Noobs
god.
try hard. Where?
Oh
Where are
my
these guys?
god. You're on 3 HP?
Bro.
Oh my
I
god,
literally
you are
was.
loving it, Ant. Dude. Oh
Bro, I'm
my
playing with
god.
Steve too much. I'm playing with Steve too much, loving it. Alright, I gotta go. That was my last one. I gotta go,
Alright.
but that was a good LG.
Yes, I have one more
Alright,
game to play.
GG,
Let's go.
fellas. Holy shit, GG.
Bye.
Bye.
These are we playing, right? This is my last
Yeah.
one. Come on. This is the last
Alright.
one. Yes. One more chat. One more. Oh my god, bro. And then finally, bro, I could fucking go outside and just smell the fresh air and eat food. Eat normal food. I was insane blocking. Dude, you played it really well, bro. I mean, like, it was either that 3-team wins or one of us wins, you know? And we just got lucky that I made like 3 sex error, by the way. I don't know how. I picked up like 16 feathers and 16. I don't know. I just picked up a lot of shit. It was crazy, dude. Oh my god. My teammate was shambles, dude. Oh my god. Oh shit. That was fun, dude. Yeah, we made 3 Artemis and 3 sharpnesses. We found like crazy diamonds. Oh my god. That was fun though. That was fun. I like that. That was really fun. God damn. Yo, Ants! Thank you for the raid, Ants! Hi everyone. Hello. Hi everyone in Ant stream. Me and we're loving it. Like, oh my god, dude. I'm like shaking that game, dude. Holy fuck. Welcome. Oh my god, you don't understand. Yeah, we played really well. And dude, I rezzed you, bro. I rezzed you with that. Oh, I went for that res, bro. easy.
You know, those guys were just full focused on me.
Yeah, why were they just like on you the whole time?
I don't
They
know.
did not let you. They did not let you leave, bro. Thanks for all. Appreciate it, ND. Welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my god, dude. Oh, I'm so like, that was like dodging arrows in real life. I was like, oh, I was like shifting, dude. I was like actually loving it there to the max. Hello, I'm welcome. Hello, hi. Now, okay, we're looking for a third. I think Duzum might find one though. Duzum, thoughts?
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, one more double. That's it. Oh my god. Wait, I could get maybe Radunes or a third. Maybe, I don't know. But let's see. Oh wait. Wait, I'm adding Bob maybe. He's not playing Fortnite anymore. What else? Who else? Guys, surely it takes another day to get a single win. Nah. This is the last day for the thing for sure, 100%. I'm trying to go to sleep. I'm trying to like actually like just rest. Wait, I can ask H of the Bold. Okay, I'm asking Age of the Bold. It's in 4 days. Yeah, it's felt like years. I'll be honest with you. The queue is at 400 people right now in Hoplite. Damn. Wait, how many people are on? Let me see real quick. I'm gonna check. What's the player count? 1,300 players. Wait, what? Yes, Sanchi, we're almost done. Literally just last game, bro. Just last game. I'm just asking my teammates right now. Or ask my friends, because my friends are pretty cool, right? Let's see. Well, fuck it. Boost for one to sleep. Okay. No, Sanchi, so what we're doing now, whoa. Before you guys know, what we're doing now is every hour or every win that gets added from now on, it's just an hour for like the subathon I'm gonna do in December. So right now, the subathon quote unquote goal 3 hour is at 3 hours. Like that's what we're starting off with, 3 hours, if that makes sense. Because dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I'm trying to go outside. I can't, dude. This is not supposed to be this long of a stream. Like I was supposed to like I'm supposed to be going outside right now. I have something to do tomorrow as well, so I mean I kind of had to cap it, you know. But hey, 5-day stream, whatever, 4-day, 5-day. Yeah, I just want to end this challenge right now. But anything else that gets added, I mean, they're just gonna. Yes, it is gonna be. Actually, you're right. It's gonna be. I'm thinking anywhere from this 22nd and on. I might cap it out for like a, or maybe like the 20th. Maybe might do the 20th to like, I don't know. Maybe the 13th to the 20th. I don't know. How do you add games? What do you mean? Just gifting subs. That's how you do it. Or yeah, subbing. Right now the timer is at 3 hours. Can someone? Yeah. I think I know. So probably like before Christmas. Fuck. I don't know. We'll see. I'll do my research because as well. Mexico plays Colombia and I'm trying to go to that December 16th. So there have to be like. So each step. No. Yo. I ain't sure what that each sub is an hour part. I don't know what that one. No. It's every 15 subs or we'll do every 10 subs. I think. Season 14. But so 14th. Fuck. Okay, so I don't want to do it during Christmas. Honestly, we could just do the first week of but then Hoplite's so popular? I know. Listen, I'm just looking for one more teammate. I think AJ's busy. Going for a winter break. Okay. Apparently everyone's leaving. Batch. Oh, what? Am I blind? Like, who can I invite, bro? Oh my god, Paxio's not responding to me. Oh, you done school? X Shatter? X Shatter? I don't think Shatter's on. Shatter is not on.
He's on, but I think he's in a game.
Oh, is he? Dude, I friended him earlier. I need a F. Hold on, F. I don't think he sees it.
He's in a game.
I gotta remove my friend request and then just add him again, I think. What is it, like this? No. It's unsend. Wait, no. And then friend add X Shatter. I don't think you saw it. Okay, maybe message X Shatter. Thank you for raid yesterday. I was asleep. Okay. Yeah, he's in a game. And you got this freaking Greninja guy that's freaking sleeping. Goldie? Where are my friends at? It's always this time where I'm looking for a third and there's no response to me. Am I Dooza for a win? Yeah, Dooza's already in my call. I'm not gonna lie, that was a crazy sweat game I had. Like, I don't think I've ever sweated that much before. Enabling, want to play Enabling? Wait, we could get Enabling. Enabling, get on Enabling, get on, please. This is my last game. Okay, Enabling's getting on. Wait, don't drop though, Enabling. Yeah, party invite Enabling, yeah, Dooza? Unless I'm the party leader.
You're the leader. You're the leader.
You know, Enabling dropped yesterday? Like, just...
That's crazy.
Just full on, just blink, drop. Finally, okay.
You suck ass.
You dropped. L, dropped.
You also you dropped the other game.
Your microphone's. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Enabling your microphone be doo doo.
Bruh.
I'm gonna add to the call. Yo, this guy's microphone is like 2020 freaking laptop kind of mic. Enable it. Add me on Discord at Qndres, at Qndres. Yeah, what should I eat? I'm gonna go with my parents somewhere. Probably invited to like dinner or something again. I thought I had you on Discord already, Nibbling. Yeah, wait, I do have. Wait, do I not have you on Discord? What? Add me on Discord. I
literally just did.
Enable. There you go. Add. I bet. Phase forfeit. I really hope there's not a YouTube. Oh, it's the goat skin.
Hi, Andres.
I'm full high Chronix. Hello. It's. Wait, what?
Let's hope this RNG.
Why did I get a sad face from Shatter? Huh.
Because he's running a solo game to draw.
Chat, I think I hurt X Shatter's feelings. What did I do? He said to me sad face. Oh no. Nablin.
What's up?
Hello, noob.
Man! Just getting slandered left and right.
You know, I think it's worth it.
Oh, it's worth it.
Listen, would you rather be called lover or noob? You decide.
Well, you're also both those things, so.
Hey, what the heck?
Hey,
Fine,
you started it.
You're a lover and a I don't even know what I'm saying, bro. I
don't think your kill record is 39, so.
Wait, your kill record is 39?
Not on here, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, and obviously not on here, you know. Mine's
Not
17 on here. Mine's 17. Mine's 17 in solos.
Damn.
Actually, 18, I
Mine's
think.
26 in solo, GG.
Oh, on here? On here? On here? On here? Oh. You know, we focus with the future, both, alright? Yep.
Alright.
Please beat Arctic team. Wait, actually, we don't want Arctic team. We want any of a mushroom. Oh, okay.
Lame.
Thanks. Oh, look at that. I see a bomb run away. Pot chop, pot chop, pot chop, pot chop. Why do I feel like I'm so high in the air?
I don't know.
Because we are.
Stewed shopping to 4th. Let's see, it's 24 hours. Hey, that's when you know that people have been loving it too. I got iron. Let's go.
I'm going down. I'm going down.
Okay, you go down and I'm gonna start going looking for the portal thing. I see lava
Notch!
here.
I lied. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a bunch of lava pools around here.
I love lying. I lie in my past.
Well, I definitely didn't believe you, so GG's. NPC.
Oh, there's
I know.
another
Oh,
thing
there's
over
a structure right there too. I'm
Ow! Ow! Oh my god! I'm gonna die down here.
Can you just stop?
Dude, you're at 13. What the fuck?
There's a lot of skeleton. Okay, I just need to run. I can't even loot these last 2 chests.
I see like one more wood. Got it.
Wait, I'm dead.
Use them?
Oh my god.
Wait, use them half a heart.
Use 'em. Oh,
Oh,
my
we're good.
god.
We're good.
Island. Tom Tom. Hi, Zidane.
To rock with me. Oh, bam, bam, bam.
We're a lot of skeletons, I must say. One would say too many skeletons. To that I would agree.
Meow, meow, meow.
There's another skeleton.
I'll check out the structure, see if there's anything there.
Right, I think there's
I
already a
missed
team
2
that went there,
chests
but
on one of those sides.
Someone on our team's there, actually.
you should
Why
have
do you
gambled with the
stand these?
candy. Oh, yeah,
I'm
you
gonna
should.
gamble.
Oh, you're on
Good
17.
start. Good start. Oh, I got 3 slownesses and a dolphin's grace.
Wow.
Yeah, that could be a lot worse.
Could have been Wither.
Am I mining for just like one of you or both of you?
Just
Both.
yourself.
Wait.
Yeah, I'll get a bunch of books.
Yeah, that's good.
Gabe, thank you for the prime.
Thanks for the prime chat. Thanks for the prime.
Actually, that was
Prime
some fucking
sub.
chat.
Thanks for the prime sub.
Hey, Flint,
Howie, thank you for the sub.
fuck. I don't see Flint, guys. This is gonna be a slow start again. Whole lot of red.
Maybe slow starts.
Fiend. I see gravel all the way down here, bro. You serious right now? Okay.
You seriously just say right now,
I've been saying it for the past 5 days.
You serious right now, man?
bruh.
And I think it's gonna, yeah, I've been saying, dude, no way. I
No
said
way?
it 299 times.
299 times. That is crazy.
This stream, I'm pretty sure.
You
Yep.
serious?
I'm not
This
saying it
stream-
anymore.
oh,
I will not be
his
hitting
last words.
What are you not gonna say?
right now. Oh, well. I didn't count because I'm telling you what I'm saying. I'm another.
No, I think it does.
Bam, bam, bam,
That's
bam,
awesome.
bam. Oh, Bastion.
Bash.
Oh, it might be treasure.
What is it? Check the pie chart.
It is. I'm right next to it. I'm right next to it.
Please go. Please get it all.
We'll
Get
try.
everything. 50 kill win. Please. Please get a 50 kill win.
I might not have an iron pickaxe, though. That's the only issue.
Oh. That's not convenient at all.
Netherite ingot.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't have
That
fucking
is
iron
something
pickaxe, bro.
okay.
Uh-oh.
Fuck. That's not good. Fuck.
Well, I can't really enter another. Maybe you start breaking it with the stone pick so that no one else gets it. You can't have it. Nobody can.
True, actually. Oh, I'm breaking it mad fast. This sounds really. This seems really bad.
I could enter soon.
You can, yeah, it'd be great.
I'll try. I got water. I'm also like kind of low,
Never mind, don't come in.
but I make gold boots, so I'm sure it's fine. I'll never die.
We have nether ingot. What are we making? 2 nether ingots. My bad.
Get the smithing.
You mean
template
netherite's
upgrades.
like,
I did,
do you mean
did.
like ancient debris or like actual?
No,
Netherite
no,
ingots.
netherite
He
ingots.
means netherite.
Oh. Hmm.
I'm gonna loot the thing, the chest above. Oh fuck.
I'm entering right now. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. You got really lucky.
Yep.
What's in here? Yo, what is this gas?
Wait, do you have a crime table?
No, but I got a gas tier. I'm gonna make a totem right now, so just in case I
Oh.
pop.
But you have
That's
no
actually
you have
not
no
a
wood
bad
or
idea,
anything?
Rookie.
Oh,
you're
you
literally-
mean iron? You mean the iron pick? I have an iron pick.
Yeah, okay. I can go back down and mine that stuff below. I'm
Oh
trying
my
to
God, hold on. I
get the
should be
glow box one
laggy.
up there, yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Hi, Jordy. What up, Goth?
Did you break all the blocks at the bottom?
No.
Alright. I'm getting the backups and then I'm gonna come down. Did you break the spawner?
Yeah.
Nice
Okay.
Goth. Okay, that's
This guy got the gold, by the way. Fuck.
Oh.
So I also like I broke like most of it though.
Alright. Did you get any ancient debris?
Nope, 0.
Alright, you got 2 smithing
what?
template upgrades, right?
That's crazy,
Yeah.
Goth. What? That's actually insane. Good night, Gabe.
Just give me one. Actually, just give me the netherite ingot.
Okay. I saw looting 2 sword, by the way. Iron sword. Not we can do anything with it, but in case later we can.
Not really.
That's a fire charge. I'm dipping.
Ooh.
You good?
Oh, I'm not
Just,
dipping quite just yet, actually. Trying LB.
5 diamonds. 2 veins of diamonds.
Oish.
I got an extra one as well. Sick.
I found it.
I got 3 right now. I might have 5.
I'm
I
heading
have
back.
Okay, I'll head
6.
back too.
Oh wait, both of these guys logged out right here.
There you go.
One of them died to lava. I'm gonna push the other one into lava.
As an NPC, it's hella nice.
Alright, I pushed them both.
Yes, sir. How many subs
Get
am I
down
at?
there.
I'm curious. Oh shit, 278. Not too shabby. Goddamn. Bro, you left a
Not
second
that
template? Oh wait, what?
Oh, I got it. Don't worry.
I got it. Wait.
Oh my god.
For a subathon that isn't supposed to be a subathon, I think that's amazing.
No, the other head burned.
GG Doozum. GG Botsum.
I thought things don't burn on here. Is it like a time period?
It's 30 seconds and then they burn.
Okay.
These streams
Like,
have been
I don't
fire.
know exactly how long I think it is. 30 seconds,
Fire.
so I got one head at least, so. And also a stack of gold.
So I can make enchants and 2 swords. What do you want to do?
Enchants and 2 swords, yeah.
Yeah, sounds
We
right.
can
alright.
just have 2 netherite swords, you know?
Yeah, that's
actually.
definitely better. I
Huh.
honestly trust you more with them, so 'cause
I
I'm
hope
still trying to get better at this version.
Appreciate the diamond sword. Yep. Thanks to Evelyn for the diamond sword.
You're welcome.
Wait, so yeah, it's basically netherite, right? Doozum?
What?
Are making netherite swords, right?
Yeah.
Sharp 3 netherite? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get the gold from over there, by the way?
From where?
From the top part of the bastion?
Oh yeah, I already got it.
But also have a diamond
What does
helmet.
that
I'm not
mean
sure
again?
it's good.
I found a diamond vein. It could be 1,
You
it
was
could
a
be
lot.
4. It was 3.
Oh, sick. So I got a sword as well. That's all I need to know.
Yeah. So we all have swords. So just 2 are gonna
Sick.
be better than 1.
Do you think there's gonna be someone mining for like netherite?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. Or if anything,
Well, I mean,
they'll
not
mine
for like
for
drag
ancient
katana, but
debris.
like, do you think someone's gonna actually try and mine for like a sword or armor?
Oh no.
No.
No. If
Definitely for
anything, they'll just
katana,
mine
though.
giant katana.
Definitely
People
katana.
love rank for katana.
But I have seen people get banned already for X-ray or for blacklist and modifications. So I mean, is it really
Yeah.
worth it at the end of the day? Probably not. But is that gonna stop people from X-raying? Of course not.
Yeah.
Once a cheater,
It's
always
the
a
UH
cheater.
It's the UHC community, bro.
I wouldn't really say too much of the UT community. It's definitely a split.
That's true. Yeah.
Yo, Gigafire, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Hello. Hi.
Wait, do we need a creeper for anything?
The GP, but not really.
I do. Yeah, I know the GP would be useful for like drag katana, but we don't have netherite scrap.
I still have fire charge already, so
Oh, you also have a fire charge? Sick.
yeah, I really don't want that GP.
Alright, I'm just gonna start enchanting and everything.
Dude, I can't find iron. Like, what? That's like, never seen that happen before. Oh, finally iron. No way. Yeah, okay.
Please, just a sharpness book.
You only need 1.
I'm trying.
They're
Finally,
hard
Jesus
enough.
Christ.
Wait, so why is that lava glitch bannable?
Which one?
The one where you can like, is that just harder to find X-rays?
Yeah, probably. Because they could just X-ray the diamonds in the lava, but then if they perform the glitch,
I
it's
got you
technically
down.
legal.
That's true. Actually, yeah, you're right. Good thing they banned it then. Ban all X-rays. Ban all cheaters. I still feel like they should be more strict on the what's it called? I don't know, just being toxic, like toxic people. They should just like get them out of here. I don't think they should. I don't think they should be here more than. I don't think a mute justifies for any words they say. You know.
Yeah.
Like that one word. Yes,
Yeah.
Kiss Saucy, one win away. Earlier today, enabling. There's a guy, and I was cooking him up, and you know he said the gamer words, and
oh, lovely.
Yeah, bro, it was just weird.
Did you know who I saw playing on someone else's? I think it was Shatter stream.
Who?
Fucking Sentra.
Oh yeah, Cole Curry.
Hey, bro.
Colt Curry, bro.
What about Kiss Saucy? Yeah, this is it. This might be the last game.
The gamer of all gamers.
Ultimate gamer.
Someone was telling me, like on Discord, that pro is like 30 games in, like 1 win or something. It's crazy.
Really?
Let's see, stats, Sentra. 93 games played, 8 wins.
I see a noob.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, this is this guy's first game.
That's crazy, dude. What?
Oh, I did them. It's this guy's first game, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Oh. I kind of feel bad for him.
Oh,
I have like a 1 KD, right?
Do you have a book?
No, I have to do it. I literally do have 1 KD.
And also the entrance here.
Yeah, I'll just keep chasing him.
76.
Chasing him real quick.
Come here, buddy.
Vote offense. Vote me. Vote offense. Vote me for YouTube video.
Yeah, what the hell?
It always works.
That's so toxic, man. Hey, man. He's done 30.
Why do you have open mic on?
Huh?
Why do you have open mic on?
Oh, I accidentally tapped it. Didn't mean to. Whoopsie.
What's up, Sparky?
Nobody
Hello.
run!
Hi.
We're blocking him off. He can't get up anymore. He's encaged. There's no
another
way
guy.
he could get out of this one.
Between me and you, there's another guy, by the way. There's 2 guys.
Alright.
There's
Is
he's
that guy
swinging.
right there?
Oh. I see
He's
him.
heading straight to you guys. King stuff.
Oh, you fucker.
Oh, you have enchants?
Well,
Any
would I
diamonds and
need that?
enchants?
Hold on. I accidentally dropped the thing.
Well, we have to.
It's going pretty good. It's going pretty good. I'm just
Give
chilling.
me a second.
Wait, I will give my teammate this. See if he puts it on.
Oh wait,
I
what
dropped
the
it
hell?
again. No. Oh,
I thought he had. I didn't think he had armor.
Yo,
Wait,
give
I'm
me the
dead.
netherite.
What the hell? Yo, wait, I'm
Don't
stuck in
die.
a block. What the fuck?
Don't die now. Oh, I see you. Run!
I'm blocking off. Don't worry.
Get out of there. Oh, you're good.
Oh, he's just running. Okay.
You're seeing,
Candy.
he's just munching on
I didn't
candy.
think he had
Pass some
armor.
pass
He
some
has
diamonds.
slowness right now.
Yeah, here.
I have enchants on me. So I finish chasing this guy. I'll give them to you.
You killing him, Duzum?
Get him,
Yeah.
dudes. Get him.
I got him. We just traded that whole time.
Put that enchant table down.
In a very fun fight.
Oh, that's dudes. Yes, this is the dudes. Peach and honey.
Here and here.
I need 1 book. Your book?
Oh, I forgot to put the totem in my mouth.
Take. Duzum.
I'll just here.
Give me.
Yeah. Check my armor real quick.
Ooh. Meow. Why are there carrots here? Huh? Can you?
It's custom terrain. I just need a glass. You have glass?
that's
Anyone
fair.
glass?
No, I don't.
I need 12 apples.
Okay.
Can someone give me 12 apples?
Can someone get. I'm gonna get some glass real quick. I'll be right back. Oh my! I almost fell in there. The Ardon. Hello.
Also
Meow.
be making a power 3 real quick.
Just a little casual power 3. Just don't want to hurt anyone.
Pretty easy to make. You just need 2 bows and then you're.
Anyone have an extra 2 gold by chance?
Oh, I think I got an extra 2 gold.
Oh,
I have an extra 2 apples.
I got apples
Oh,
already.
apples.
Here you go.
I need 12 apples. How many apples?
Wait, where
do you
the
have?
where the entrance at?
Enabling. I think I
Should be over there.
Give enchants.
Also, who had a diamond helmet? Why did you have a diamond helmet?
What?
Well, no, I got it from the thing. Is it there?
Oh,
Bro, who has the enchants? Bro.
my team is this.
Ay, 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 keep on open.
Give enchants.
He's saying no.
Who has the enchant table?
He,
Who has it?
bruh. I
Oh. You just tossed it on me.
don't.
Alright, what's our healing?
1 gap, 1 G-God.
I will tell you my healing in one second.
Res.
One sec. I have a total of 6 gaps on me right now.
Alright, I have 24. Okay, so
Uh-oh.
that would be. I have to give you 9.
30, yeah.
And then I'll give you
you.
5. You should be at 11 now.
0.
Yep.
I
Okay.
have 10 gaps to GS now. And then enabling has 10, and
That
then
is
this is
not
11.
a normal first message. You're just gone.
What do you
The
say?
fuck?
Bad?
He said, if you had to have the do, you know, with 2 people with the combined ages of 30, which ages?
Okay. Well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like.
Okay.
You know.
Anyways, anywho.
Anyway.
Hi, Weenus.
Actually, do one of you have a.
How you doing, man? How you been doing?
Oh, I need to go here. So what? Do some?
Redstone? Anyone? Either? of
I
you?
have
Oh, yeah,
5.
I got a stack.
5. 5 will do. For now.
Meow, 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 meow,
Wow.
meow, 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 meow.
Ooh. I keep forgetting about that crap.
What'd you make?
He made
What do you
the
think?
tracker doggies.
Wow, sweat. Noob.
Back. Venus! Dude, you can get a
What?
candle.
Kick body, your shit. Da, 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 da,
You go there, I'll go 0, 5 people there.
I see them. They're enchanting.
Is there multiple
Do you
people?
even
A lot of
see
people?
them, bro? Are you sure you see
At
them?
least 3.
What I wanna do?
I guess.
Can wait for Doozum just to pop one.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh, Doozum is
isn't
taking.
playing in. No.
Yapping.
I'm coming. Doozum's taking a lot of.
These guys are actually the #1 bodyguards for this one.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Doozum, don't die, please.
I probably won't.
What's
I have
up?
a total.
Tem Gen on.
Pemgen?
They're
What team?
on-
Oh, it's 40, 40, 40.
Okay,
40,
well, I actually
Jesus.
can't fight this right
Now
now.
chase them
Cut left,
away.
I got you.
I'm on 6 hearts.
They're bowing you.
I'm
They
on
want you
1.5.
dead.
Really?
You
These are
can
boys.
travel the world.
Hello. Hello. Ah, what the heck? What the flip?
They were just playing really
I
annoying.
know, man. What the heck? I just shot you in the face.
Yeah. What? Ah. What?
What is
What?
it?
What the heck?
That's crazy.
Oh, your teammate's on 36.
Wait, this guy's like a mega sweat.
Yeah, it's
Get
kind
over
of
there,
Joe
neighbor.
ever for us.
Wait,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
your
good
boots.
right now.
Wait, damn. Why am I the only one who doesn't have boots here? Fuck.
Your teammate's on 29. Keep
That
rolling,
really
guy.
wants me.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna remember you. Oh, you're 200 blocks away. How long that one happen?
What's he on? Got him.
Oh.
He's not dead.
Never mind.
It's on 12. Go on.
Is he getting one
Healing?
two?
Yep.
Goes.
They aren't really the best players in UHC.
Interesting players. Interesting people in chat.
Wait, I didn't get the head. Fuck.
How did you not get the head?
I don't know. I just didn't get it. You can chase those guys. I'm gonna go get the head again.
No, it isn't Venus.
Did he go right and I didn't see him?
Oh yeah, just don't pick the head up. What the fuck? Okay. But you guys keep chasing them. I'll go blind.
Oh, okay, Venus. That's pretty chill.
Okay. I'm gonna only unmute when I hear someone. Dude, this might be the last game. I hope it's already 6 o'clock. I hope this is the last game.
But the guy went, I'm not gonna lie.
Are you guys good?
Ow.
Hello, dudes.
Hey man.
Ow, I got harming twice from the candy.
L. Bozo.
Wow, that's not very nice. I'm gonna need you to apologize.
No, I'm good. It's cool. It's chill. We're chilling.
Wow.
We're just clear comms, right? We're gonna clear comms. Clear comms.
So mean.
Yeah? I am.
Yeah. Oh, they had a silk touch book.
Wait. Actually, keep
There's
that.
an Arctic team.
There is an Arctic team, yeah. So when you see a honeycomb, comb it.
Wait, what can you make with the honeycomb?
Lich staff.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Didn't Paxel just say it wasn't that good though?
It's not good if you don't know how to use it. He was using it the whole time. I wanted to use it, but it's really good if you know how to use it. You can boost stuff forward.
Okay,
you can
okay.
increase people.
Okay, fair. Don't ask me, I never thought I wasn't like you as a friend, but now you're in my
I see a
way.
B. Oh, I see. Okay, I'm gonna get it right now. Just so I can get it now.
Right now.
Uh-oh.
Your stare was so ripped jeans, skin was showing, hot night, wind was blowing. Where you think you're going, baby?
How do you even craft the thing, Duzum? Do you know?
1 string, 1 honeycomb.
Does the guy be in a crafting table or something?
I don't know.
Oh, I see. It's a specific way. Bosh check. Oh, yeah.
You realize your voice chat's also on, by the way.
It's fine. It's fine. It's chill. They can hear me talk to my chat. Yo, chat. What's up, chat? Yo, chat. What's up, chat?
No, I'm hearing double right now. That's why.
I just muted you in game. You mute me in game.
Yeah, I could do that.
Voice chat settings, and then go to settings, adjust volumes, and then go to Qndres, and then just mute me.
I could just do. I'll just disable voice chat. I don't care enough.
I'm taking damage like an NPC.
Maybe it's hard to look right at you, baby.
I found Arctic.
Wait, what?
The biome, not the players.
Oh. Oh my god, someone put the whole forest 0-0 on fire.
Oh.
Dude.
Oh.
This looks very
What the
sad.
hell?
My FPS is like low-key shredding, but it's alright.
Do we have 2 diamonds? Oh, 1 diamond?
None. Unfortunately.
Hey, just go to those chords and there's gonna be a bunch of ice you can use the silk touch on.
Andres, where are you going?
I was running, looking for people.
Never mind, I found diamonds.
Oh, nice.
It was just some in a pile for some reason.
Wait, can you give me some do some ice as well? I want to make it too.
What?
Get me some ice for me, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I can't get it. Enabling us to get it.
Alright, anyway, get some ice for me. 4 ice total.
How about you get yourself? I'll give you the Silk Touch book. Smile.
Alright, I'm asked again, but I'm gonna get it nicely this time. Yo, enabling, can you please give me some ice?
Fine.
Thanks, enabling.
I don't like you.
Kind of.
What the fuck? Hello? Hi, chat. Clear comments, chat. Yo, where is everyone at, bruh?
They're hiding from you.
I can tell. Must be
They're
scared of me.
because you love it too much.
Yeah,
just
pretty
run me.
much.
Could you please?
I'm running to you yet. I don't know where you're at, but I'm running to you.
Get the Silk Touch book.
Enable it. Oh,
I am
enable
on
it
the
too.
way. How do you even craft the lich stuff? Let me see recipe.
You only got how many honeycombs did you get on just?
One, only one. I got one.
2 diamonds,
then-
2 obby, 2 ice, and a candle. How the hell do you make a candle?
Honeycomb.
Honeycomb.
Oh, honeycomb
String.
and string. Okay.
Yo, I'm convinced that no one's playing this game.
They're all mining all game because they're losers.
Yeah.
Here. Oh, there's people literally right there, Duzum.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what are your chords?
Yeah.
Send cards real quick. Just PMC.
Neg 2, pause 2.
What? Neg 2, pause 2?
Oh, okay, it's 4 levels and I only have 3, so
Just give me.
there are a few of them, but they look kind of newbie.
I just want to make the lick stuff.
I mean, here, take. If you have the levels, it's 4.
Okay.
So these kind of look newbie, low key.
I don't feel like chasing.
Oh, I need obsidian, don't I? Fuck.
They could also
I
just
got
be
obby for you.
trapping.
I got obby for you.
Bet. Oh, I see a whole noob team at 0-0, by the way. Literally, I'm not trolling.
Oh. I'm gonna
least
head there then.
I just said it. I keep saying it out loud. I could fucking feel bad. Oh, my teammate take that real quick. Come on, teammate.
Guys, don't worry. Potato King 92 is gonna carry us.
I believe him.
What do you mean? I'm firing shit.
What? There's just like 7 boats here.
Oh yeah, I see that. Whole team dropped off.
Oh, I might be dead here, guys.
Oh, what the?
Like a regular player actually just came in.
Are you good?
Holy
Or do you
shit.
need me to come?
You come, yeah. I can
Alright,
run.
on the way. I just killed a guy logged out.
Yeah, Artemis. Yeah, you guys. Yep.
I'm on this one.
Oh, server is just lagging its ass off.
No, it's because there's it's that fire shit.
Oh yeah, the fire.
I got one.
What's up, Maxwell on?
Big explosion on. 39. I got this.
Got him. I'm getting the Artemis bow. I got it.
34,
Amethyst,
35. Yes, fire aspect. Fires.
Brought 2. What?
Can I get that candle, Qndres?
Hold on.
Qndres, I'm gonna need that candle.
Look. Wait, how about you give me 2 ice? Thoughts? Thoughts on the trade?
I don't have ice.
Nibble, you have the ice?
I do not have the ice. I gave him the Silk Touch.
Oh,
Give me
do
the
some.
candle, and then I'll get the thing. Give me the candle.
I got Amethyst, by the way, if we have Crying Obby.
Where you at?
Anyone have Crying Obby?
I don't have Crying Obby.
We playing with Duzum.
Sag.
Duzum and some NPC called Enabling.
What the fuck?
Okay, coming.
Give me El
rest
Candle
of my
and I'll
chance,
go. Get the ice, I do, but I'll gamble myself. Give me a second. Thank you for the candle. I can craft it now because I already had
Passing
the
ice.
ice. Here's your ice. There
Thank
you
you.
go.
I know. Thank you. Passing the obsidian, Mr. Nablein, sir. Thank you for the
Get
obsidian, Mr.
redstone,
Nablein.
sir.
I do have redstone, sir. There you go.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna gamba.
Yeah, these sayings I just got to my head now. I've just been saying them now. NPC, GG's.
$27 XP
Alright,
bottles.
Alright, let's see how this works.
I'm gamba again. I'm gonna gamba again.
Again? You said again, again, again.
Again. Two suspicious stews.
Oh my god!
What?
I did not mean to do that. My dogs are gonna die. The
Use
boys
them.
are
You want a
cold.
sussy stew?
What?
That gave me nothing.
You know, it doesn't. It never does anything.
It's supposed to be a
Wait, how many
candy, I'm
artists
pretty
do-
sure.
How many artist bows did they have?
I don't know.
I mean, I got one.
At most one. Didn't see any more.
Oh, let's see if we can find those noobs again and do them. Back
Oh,
out
yeah,
southwest. Enchanted sea pickle with I'm keeping
Wait,
that.
keep that.
I got that from Larry's blessing. We have to kill the last guy with the sea pickle.
Yes.
Unless the game is closed.
100% for that.
Someone just dropped. I have two guys on me, by the way. You guys want to come in? Yeah, come
You
kill
good?
him. Yeah, I don't get run.
Okay.
Alright, I will not be running to you. Good luck.
Actually,
Neither will
you might
I.
need to get to me.
Oh my god.
There's a two.
Okay, I'll run to you.
It's a one piece. They're both one pieces.
Oh wait, yo, that's
So
sick.
fun.
Hold on.
That's so cool.
Oh my god, I'm happy.
Wait, is that you
I
with
got my
the?
joy back.
Oh, you know what? I think I might see you.
Nah, it's not me.
We're like 200 blocks away.
You might be seeing a Lytra man.
Yeah, you're seeing. Yeah, you're probably seeing Elytra Man. Because apparently one of them logged out. Lovely.
My wolf froze to death.
No!
I'm a really bad owner. But it's worth it because I get the boost.
It's worth it because it benefits me in the UHC.
It is indeed worth it. Are you still running? No, you're fighting.
No.
Oh no, you're running. Here, I'll shoot them for you.
You too.
Good Don, think we're following. Ooh, kind of with that chest plate. Pew!
Oh, I know who this is.
Oh, who is it?
He's one of my French.
He's French.
Not this guy, the other one.
26.
No wonder.
Oh!
That was awesome. No cap. Okay,
Are you
this,
good,
this
Mr.
weapon's actually
Andres?
Yeah, I'm good.
this weapon's actually like really fun. This weapon is too fun. I wonder when cooldown starts.
One more. Yeah, someone was free. This is it. This is it. Hi, Cypher.
Wolf was frozen to death by Doozum. I'm shooting the golem.
Oh fuck! You shot the golem to
You
me.
got jumped by the golem.
No!
Oh, there's a our teammate locked out.
I locked out. They're locked
How many
out.
subs? Not doing it anymore. Not doing it anymore. This is it. This is it. This is it. Anything,
The final.
anything gets added is for my subathons December.
Oh, that's kind of stacked. Ow! You froze
Sorry.
me.
Meow meow
Hey, new
meow
team.
meow
Hello,
meow
new
meow
guy.
meow. Okay, dude.
Oh,
So I'm gonna see how it
was
is.
Very low.
Alright, wait, it's just two of them though, it's just two of them. We
Oh
dropped
no
out.
no 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 no
What's
no
up?
no no
What's
no.
up, Andres? Come on. Let's go, Andres.
Very good.
Andre,
Very
lucky, lucky.
good.
No! Oh my god.
I did
Yo,
no
Andres,
damage,
what is
bro.
that?
That did
Yeah, I know.
absolutely no damage.
Keep chasing me though. Come on.
I think I pro'd out.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. 2v1, 2v1. It'll
Oh.
be fair. Our teammate
Hello.
did drop.
Oh, I'm getting 2 bead.
Come back, random player.
Uh-oh. That's not good. What? He just walked right through a cobweb. I just died with a G because he walked through a cobweb. Fuck, okay. That's super cool.
2 has arrows. I have Artemis. Someone give me
They got so much healing off me.
I'm just gonna come on you.
Yeah, I killed this one over here. I'm gonna take his chest plate real quick.
Go for it.
My GA just did not want to heal. Or did I eat my GA?
Yo.
No, I didn't. What the fuck? Dude.
Enabling dropping.
Okay, then.
Noob enabling.
Noob enabling
Chopping like
dropping.
usual.
Giving people a
Bro,
little more
there's
healing.
like 6 hearts. I think they have strength.
In gaps.
Oh, they don't have strength. You gaps,
Dude,
yeah.
they did so much damage.
What did I hit there? I think I hit the arrow.
Yeah.
Is that guy a YouTuber?
Dropping him. 26.
Who?
Killed him. Killed him.
Oh,
Net sword? Am I tripping or is that
Maybe.
net sword?
Y'all need help?
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, I killed him.
I need help. I need
I got
help.
on 32 dudes on.
Oh my god,
Yeah, I
bro.
see that.
Holy yo, chill out with that, bro. Chill out with that. I didn't mean it.
Waz is on 13.
30,
6,
24,
3.
Susan.
Nice.
You know, maybe we don't.
Oh my
There's gaps
god,
there,
bro.
gaps
What?
there.
Why?
Oh, fuck.
Please stop
Where?
that.
34
That's
dudes
very
on.
mean.
Dude, this
Come
guy
here.
fights so weird.
Yo,
dude.
help our teammate. Help our
Flame
teammate.
behind
I'm
you.
popping ahead.
I'm gonna just head
Hello,
real quick.
Buckaroo.
Buckaroo's
I have
crazy.
17 diamonds.
Alright.
Okay.
Kill him for the
Alright, Andre.
clout.
Stop with the staff, bro. Stop.
Kill him for the clout.
This is harassment,
Kill him for the
bro.
clout, they say.
Yes.
Soups, thank you for the
What
12
is the
months.
cooldown on that thing?
Oh, I lied. I
I'm
didn't
gonna
have
make an air
17
split here.
diamonds. I had 11.
Okay, yeah, get our teammate back. Wait, have him ready for
Wait,
payment.
wait. How much do we can we do for?
Hey.
Pew. I'm just gonna make funny noises with this shit. Pew. Bang. Whoosh.
Right here. Behind you.
Punch behind you.
Ow.
Stop.
I need water, yeah, thank you.
What?
Whoa, target Qndres. He's low.
Andre's dead.
He's low. He's at 6.
He's barely alive.
Yo.
God, that is the
Yo.
most annoying weapon.
Oh my god, bro. Chill. I can't even run now.
10, 5. 5 on that one.
Alright.
You got him.
6.
Alright, Andres. I need my
Nice.
I need my get
Slayer,
back,
man.
I'm running because
bro.
I'm a
Yeah,
little
kill
low.
him, bro.
Don't got the head. What is HOPLITE? It's Speed Silver's new server.
Is that a net sword that I
UHC
see?
for 1.20. It's so much fun. Oh, the other guy's just full diamond.
Could be.
Fuck.
I noticed.
Admax is on 40.
Alright. This solo
The
is
other guy's on
not
24.
really... Oh
Solo's on
my
full.
god, they're so broken. This is harassment, bro.
Oh.
This is harassment, bro. This is
Yeah,
harassment.
this is
25 on
harassment.
Vincent. 21.
Relax.
No,
Actually, I'm good
stop.
here. I'm fine
Stop,
not being
please.
attacked. This is much more of a
As
phase.
much as you
Can you like not die,
Nice.
You
please?
just got the kill, nice. Oh, well, your
48
teammate
and
died.
44.
Yeah, no, I noticed.
Andres, I get the chest plate, by the way.
What?
I get the chest plate just to be safe.
Cute.
Yeah.
Cute.
Um,
I'm sorry, I'm in a high stress situation right now.
Release the door.
bro has like 20 dogs. What? Nice. 12 on that guy.
Might be dead.
13.
No, you're
No,
not. Keep running.
Not confirmed. It's not confirmed, but I might be dead here.
How do you have full diamond and a short sword?
19 on Admax.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
annoying.
see if I can help that other guy.
You should probably see if you can help the other guy.
No, but then I'm gonna get 2v1 if I do.
Oh, I missed.
23.
Back off.
I think we're mistaken.
15.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm dead.
That is
Six.
so funny.
Or you could launch me away. That works. too.
7. 12.
Oh, we're notching you closer.
Why did my hit just not
GG's.
miss?
4, 3,
Unless.
1,
Oh.
2. The one hit. Nice.
Good luck, Dism.
He's
Go
on
for the follow.
So, have y'all stayed in there?
How many people?
Yo, Crack, what's up? Thanks for follow, appreciate it.
37.
Yo, 127, thanks for follow, appreciate it. We're about to be done here with this challenge, bro. We're about to finish this challenge. No way. I'm done with the staff, bro.
Basically, Soups. 5.
That weapon's nuts.
3, 1. Epic.
I got it with the staff. Let's go.
Woo.
W, finally, dude. Holy, bro.
I got carried again. Woo.
Oh my god, I can actually end the stream now. Holy shit, man. 4 fucking days, dude. Oh
You're
my
welcome.
god, bro. Thank
You're
you. Shout out to
addicted.
Doozum, bro. Oh my god. It has been 5 long days, bro. Dude, never sub to me again, please. Yo. Okay, I'm just kidding. Please sub to me next. All right. Yo, Doozum enabling. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys later. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you, Doozum.
See ya.
I'd be
Later,
counting
later.
on my money for fun.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
gonna take it.
Okay. All right. Yo, chat. Thank you all for watching the stream. This crazy stream. I appreciate you guys all. I'm probably gonna fucking just sleep, shower, sleep. I don't even know, bro. I can actually go to sleep now, like without having one eye open. Chat. I'll see y'all later. Thank you guys for watching the stream. I'm gonna raid Shatter because he raided me last night. Thank you guys for watching the stream. W challenge. Join my Discord. Join my Discord, please. And yeah, I'll see y'all later. All right. Peace out, everyone. Good nights. Everyone have a sleep well. Okay. 07. Thank you guys for joining the challenge. Join my Discord. I'll be live tomorrow. Just like 3-hour stream though. Don't be that long. And yeah, I'm with DM Discord. Bets. World's bet. All right. Good night, guys. Peace out. Bye.
I'm just gonna go up.
Bye. Wait, if you join the Discord right now, by the way, you're Pog. All right, bye.